You can win stealth tickets, and one lucky fan will take home $100 cash. Balls are available for $2 each, or 3 for $5 at the Launchaball table near the icebox. All proceeds tonight will benefit Bahauya Lacrosse. Remember, fans, please refrain from throwing your designated Launchaball until the contest at halftime. Objects thrown during gameplay will result in ejection from the arena and possible arrest. The Washington Stealth and Comcast Arena appreciate your cooperation. Fans, check out tonight's Sticks to Schools auction located by the Icebox and bid on autographed Stealth merchandise and other great prizes, including a Mitch McMichael game-used lacrosse shaft, framed Bomber the Fox artwork piece by artist Martin Oliver, palettes and paintings, gift card, and more. Proceeds benefit the Sticks to Schools program, which helps spread the sport of lacrosse to more schools in Washington State. Check out the auction now, located just outside the Icebox. Bidding closes at the end of the third quarter.
For more information on Sticks to Schools, visit stickstoschools.org.
Visit the Stealth information table above section 115. The next Stealth home game is Saturday, March 30th, when your Washington Stealth take on the Calgary Roughnecks at 6:45 p.m. for the annual Pink the Rink game to benefit Providence Comprehensive Breast Center. Help us raise funds, increase awareness, and stick it to breast cancer by wearing pink to the game. Find details and purchase tickets at stealthlax.com. Season ticket holders, you've already got the best deal in the house. Renew for the 2014 season now with a $25 per seat deposit in order to keep your seats at 2013 prices. Talk to your account executive or visit the service desk near section. Anyone who uses objectionable or undesirable language, consumes alcoholic beverages not legally sold inside the arena, or throws anything onto the playing surface or at any
Oh, yeah! Who's ready for some lacrosse action on the turf here at the Comcast Arena? You can be louder than that. Who's ready for some lacrosse action tonight?
Check 1, 2, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Live from Comcast Arena in about 3 minutes, lacrosse fans.
That's what you guys do. a big one tonight. A victory for your Stealth. First place is all ours. So we need you for 60 minutes strong, all night long. Make some noise for your boys. Let's go. And please welcome to the floor the Stealth Bombshells.
Test, 1 2 1 2, test.
1 2 3 4 10 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1. Check. Oh, Captain, my Captain, your fearful trip is far from done and your ship must roll on through the night. The Minnesota Swarm were dealt a tough blow this week when it was confirmed their captain, Andrew Suter, is out for the season with the torn ACL. Their heart and soul now on the sidelines rather than on the floor. Their 3-5 record has them in 4th place in the West at the halfway point, but a new season starts today for Minnesota. New faces stepping up, new leaders, new accountability. For the Washington Stealth, they've had some better fortune of late, sitting at the top of the West Division at 5-4. The Stealth picked up goaltender Matt Royk, who was released from Colorado earlier this week. Royk returns to the team where he captured a Champions Cup in 2010, and we'll see if he will reunite with Tyler Richards and return the team to promise. Will it work? The Stealth are coming off a huge win last weekend against Calgary, but have not won 2 straight since the first 2 games of the season. Welcome to Comcast Arena in Everett, Washington, lacrosse fans. My name is Brad Challoner, and this is pretty cool. I have a special guest color guide tonight. Let me roll out the resume here. Syracuse Orange lacrosse legend, 2-time MLL MVP, NLL All-Star. He captained Team USA to a World Field Lacrosse Championship in 2010. The founder of Rhino Lacrosse and a pioneer spreading the game around the Pacific Northwest. His name is synonymous with lacrosse in the US of A. Pretty excited to have Ryan Powell riding shotgun here tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Brad. Pretty excited here. First time up in the booth. Going to be doing a great NLL game, and we got a very good game here to get me started. Minnesota is a hungry team, like you said. The big loss of their captain. And then obviously Washington playing very good lacrosse right now. So it's going to be a great matchup here tonight, and it should be an awesome game.
Been about a year and a half since you were on an NLL roster. What have you been up to in that time?
Well, I'm just spending a lot of my time doing Rhino lacrosse stuff, teaching the game of lacrosse, giving back in that capacity. So that's been a lot of fun. I'm making the move from Portland, Oregon, back to Syracuse, New York here in the next week. So that's going to be pretty cool to get back around family and friends.
What's the vibe like with the lacrosse in the Pacific Northwest? You were part of the Portland Lumberjacks Association and obviously living in Portland for the last few years. How do you feel about the vibe in this neck of the woods?
Well, it's been awesome. You know, it's certainly changed a lot. I've been out. I was in Portland for 7 years, and from the time that I got to Portland till obviously going to be hopping on a plane here and going back. But it's in a totally different place in just a short amount of time. The game is exploding. Guys are much more serious about it, training and competing at a high level throughout the whole course of the year. It used to just kind of be an intramural type sport, but now it's taken very seriously. And I'm not sure if you know this or not, Brad, but Peter Baum, he went to Colgate University. He's from Portland and won the Twerton Trophy as the NCAA Division I top player. So that's pretty cool and kind of gives you an idea of where lacrosse is at in the Pacific Northwest.
It's the Sunday matinee game today, the final game of Week 9. Will the Stealth create some breathing room atop the West, or will the Swarm get their 4th win and tighten things up even more? The Swarm without their captain, their heart and soul, Andrew Suter. How big is a loss like that when you lose your most vocal guy?
It's going to be a big loss for him for sure. You know, it's interesting to see how they'll come out. You know, it can kind of go one of two different ways, in my opinion. The guys step up and play a great game here today. Sometimes if you get down early on, you really lose that momentum and you don't have that vocal leadership like Andrew brought to the squad. So you look for Minnesota to get off to a fast start and see some guys really trying to step up and fill that void.
The Stealth bring back Matt Royk, who's had a tough go since leaving Everett a year and a half ago. Short stints in Toronto and Colorado, and both really nothing to do with his play. Colorado has the worst defense in the National Lacrosse League right now, but they needed to shake things up, so they released Royk, who was quickly scooped up by the Stealth. You played with Royk in Anaheim. Aside from what he does on the floor, he does a lot in the dressing room, right?
He really does. He's a vocal guy, and he's get your stick sharpened up. So, you know, maybe something like that. Just little things make a huge difference in this league. One, 2 goal games, like they usually always are, might be just that extra work that you got done in the warm-up that might end up being the difference in the end.
5 different backup goaltenders have been in and out of the Washington lineup since Matt Royk left, so he'll look to get that chemistry going that he had with Tyler Richards from 2009, 2011, with 2 straight trips to the Champions Cup as they look towards the playoff stretch here. It's transition lacrosse now, Ryan. Minnesota are sort of the poster boys for the new type of NLL, if you will. 44 of their 99 goals this year have been from their transition players. How do the Stealth match up against a team that can run the floor so well? How do you defend that?
Well, I think what the Stealth want to do today is make sure that they do a good job moving the ball on offense. You know, Minnesota's obviously going to try to put some pressure on them early on in shot clocks, force them into some early shots. And if they do that, Minnesota can run on them. If Washington does a great job and moves the ball and holds it deep into shot clocks, it'll turn down that type of game that Minnesota's looking to play.
Swarm are also stacked again with 5 rookies this year, 10 sophomores. Is it difficult to play against a team with so many rookies simply because the Stealth defense don't have books on them yet?
It is. I think that is important. You know, scouting reports are really important in this league. There's some coaches that do an awesome job with it. Playing for Coach Derek Keenan that's up in Edmonton. You know, live and die by the scouting report, and he had us very prepared to play in every single game. So I do think that goes a long way, and if you don't have a lot of information on some guys, they might surprise you in a couple different areas.
Scratches tonight out of your Minnesota Swarm lineup: Greg Downing, Pat Smith, Matt Gibson, and of course the loss of Andrew Suter. Scratches for the Washington Stealth tonight: rookie Kyle Buchanan, rookie Tim Henderson, and veteran Chris McElroy, a guy that you played with, Ryan. He hasn't had injury problems this year, but McElroy's been in and out of the lineup, was a captain when you played up there in Edmonton. Talk about Chris McElroy, what he brings to a locker room.
I think he's just a great human being, world-class guy. It was a great honor for me to have the opportunity to play with him. I did an awesome job wearing the C and representing the Edmonton organization, and you know, he always had a big smile on his face. He's a guy that's got great energy to him. So I was looking forward to watching him play out here tonight, and unfortunate that he is a scratch.
So again, the National Lacrosse League, if the Washington Stealth win tonight, they'll create some space on top of the West Division with their 5-4 record. Edmonton now has 5 wins, as do the Calgary Roughnecks. Minnesota, with their 3-5 seasons so far, will look to be a half point back of the top of the standings if they can get a W. Obviously, the parity in this league, we've talked so much about it in every single game. All these players are absolutely fantastic, world-class athletes. What can you say about just the quality of players in the league these days?
I think it's unbelievable, just taking the training and preparation so much more serious, and there's a lot more opportunities for guys to play the game. So you see a lot of these guys will play year-round. They'll be playing summer ball up in Canada or in the field league in the USA. So, you know, you see a lot of guys getting those extra reps in and taking every opportunity to play the game that they possibly can. And then another thing that I wanted to mention too is just watching warm-ups out here tonight. It is unbelievable, the stick skills on some of these guys, just the way that the ball moves. So if you're at home watching this game, just keep an eye out on that. And if you're a young player that wants to become good at the game of lacrosse, it starts with your stick skills. And there's no better league and no better game to watch the things that players can do when it comes to stick skills.
Some of the best players in the world will be on the floor tonight. A guy who some are talking as an early candidate for the most valuable player when this season wraps up is Reese Dutch. Has a hat trick in 7 of 9 games this season, 18 points in his last 2 games, including Offensive Player of the Week last week for a 3-7 night in the win against the Calgary Roughnecks. He scored 8 against Minnesota this year, the 5th-year player, Reese Dutch, and that's another guy we'll keep our eye on tonight. On the Minnesota Swarm side of things, Ryan Benesch comes into this game 10th overall in the league standings and scoring. He was 4th until this weekend, where guys like Billings and Colin Doyle and a couple other players in John Grant Jr. and Jeff Shatler started overleaping Benesch. That shows just one game can do. Guys can rack up so many points. So Benesch goes from 4th to 10th overall in the scoring charts. We'll keep an eye on that lefty in the lineup for the Minnesota Swarm. And again, rookies throughout the lineup. Kyle Matisse, who's been the standout for the Minnesota Swarm so far this season. 3-2 last time these two teams played. Matisse had a career-high 5-point night, 3 goals, 2 assists that night. Junior A Burlington player, played for Team Canada U19 level. Ryan, what's it like being a rookie in the league? We're seeing so many rookies making an immediate impact. Why are rookies being so successful these days?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with what I talked about, just guys playing the game year-round and having more opportunities to play the game, so they're coming in more prepared. But there's some serious excitement that they bring to the table as well. They're full of energy, so they do great things for the locker room as well. Not necessarily a loud vocal type guy, but just that amped up energy, ready to compete, gets the older guys going as well. So I think it's important to have some rookies in the lineup.
It's the Stealth and the Swarm live from Comcast Arena in Everett, Washington. Brad Schellner alongside Ryan Powell tonight, as Jordan McIntosh and Bobby Snyder will meet in the face-off dot. That's one thing that the Swarm will worry a little bit about. Without Suter in the lineup, just his presence and his ability to get the ball up the floor. But Suter took some draws too. And really only 2 players have taken draws from Minnesota this year, and that's Jordan McIntosh and that's Andrew Suter. Now with him out, it's either all going to be on McIntosh or they need to find someone else who can step up.
Absolutely. Face-offs are a very important part of the game. When I'm teaching kids, I say every time you pick up a ground ball, you give your team another opportunity to score a goal. So very important here that the face-off battles go to your team. So they'll be doing everything they can to get those draws.
Starting goaltenders for your Washington Stealth, Tyler Richards, 4-3 record and a 10.71 goals against. That's good for 2nd in the league and a .802 save percentage. Was the defensive player of the week in week 6 rather. And the starting goaltender for your Minnesota Swarm, Ty Carlson, gets the call here in Everett. 1-4 record this season with a .750 save percentage. As we look to get this one underway, Snyder and McIntosh in the circle from Comcast Arena in Everett. Do the Stealth want to create some space atop the league, or the Minnesota Swarm want to make things even more pesky near the top of the standings? And Bobby Snyder will win a clean draw right off the bat and bring this ball into the offensive zone. The Stealth will get the first offensive possession of the night. Cliff Smith jumped at center. Now he'll bring it deeper into the zone. Ratcliffe's ahead of him. He has the ball now. Lewis gets it to the top of the zone to Ethan Iannucci. Down deep for Dutch. Dutch takes the first shot of the game, but his block doesn't make its way through. He chases down the Lucy, but Carlson's there with the paddle and the loose ball. Minnesota in transition. Ryan Benesch for this first shift on O for the Minnesota Swarm. Hands off to Shane Jackson, the rookie. 32 points for number 32. Now back to Benesch. He's pushed outside by O'Doherty and looks for help to the top of the zone. Jackson in the first piece of rubber for Tyler Richards, and it's a save. O'Doherty back up the way for Washington. Looks for help off the bench to his offensive players, Nathan Iannucci, and he'll settle things down and wait for the right personnel to come on the floor. Mitch Michael's the trailer. Mick Michael, rather. Cliff Smith down deep for Iannucci, looking for help far side, hits Ratcliffe, 10 on the shot clock for Lewis. Scoop pass inside for Dean Hill, stop. And a big save for Carlson, loose ball behind the net, and there's the Swarm who are going to be so good at loose balls tonight.
One thing that I noticed already here, the first 2 possessions by the Stealth have gone deep into the shot clock like I talked about. Maybe they're worried about that transition going the other way.
Offensive loose balls are going to be a huge key for Washington tonight. McIntosh brings it in past far sides, knocked down by Molesky, and he gets a one hand on it, and with wheels hits center. 2-on-1 if the Stealth hurry. Molesky will take the shot. Carlson got a piece of it and ends up in the corner. Offensive loose ball picked up by Dutch. Molesky missed 4 games this year, but looks like he's got some wheels tonight. Had a ankle injury, but sure running the floor well early. 2 minutes in, no score. Reese Dutch to Ratcliffe. Spinning, shooting. Carlson makes a stick save off the roller across the carpet. And here they are in transition. Here's Cal Matisse, has a lane, hits the trailer. Deke shoots, and a big paddle save by Richards. And an interference called, and Washington will get the ball to bring it up the floor.
That was a really nice save right there by Richards. He actually got the ball with his butt end of his shaft. You always feel very fortunate when you save those balls.
Dutch against Earl, pass down deep for Cliff Smith. He drops that one, loose ball. And there's the Swarm, quick to gobble one up. But the ball's knocked out of the stick, and Brett Bucktooth is there, and the Stealth get a fresh 30 with a tired Swarm defense on the floor. Bucktooth double team, has to throw the ball away, but Dutch is there to corral it back in. Around his man, Reese Dutch has a lane down to the crease, Bucktooth! And he's got a toe in the crease. Referee LeBranch right there to say, no, you don't.
That was absolutely the right call. I saw that, I had a good angle on it. He did touch the crease there.
Crew chief tonight is Todd LeBranch, assistant referee Steve Adamick, and your shot clock operator, Mr. Scott McDonald. Swarm in possession in the offensive zone. The Fly Swatters are out here in Everett. This group down in front of our broadcast booth is waving them proudly. McIntosh goes for a lap of the offensive zone, hands off to Benesh with a fresh clock. Callum Crawford, who's wearing the C without Andrew Suter in the lineup, looks for a pass. It's Jackson, far side to Teo, takes a shot, that one's wide, and Jackson's there for the Lucy. Back to McIntosh, who drops one, and Justin Salt will kick it all the way up the floor and have to chase this ball down. Carlson wants to break up the play, so he gets in there, and Salt lays a little lumber on the goaltender. Loose ball battle behind the net, interference called on Minnesota, and the Stealth will get the set up. Brett Bucktooth into the corner, being watched by Gilbert. Top of the zone to Cliff Smith, over to Ratcliffe. Pick set for Ratcliffe by Hill, he takes it, now dishes far side to Iannucci, in deep for Dutch. Cutters, Ratcliffe, the trailer takes a shot, and Carlson had to be sharp on that one to make his first real big save. Back the other way come the Swarm. Kyle Matisse, with the yellow head on his stick, will retreat back to his righty side where he belongs. Now Callum Crawford with the ball. Being chased, scoop pass back. No, he doesn't want it. Now he hits Matisse. He drops a pass. It's a few drop passes in the offensive zone by Minnesota. Now Hodgson back the other way for Washington. Matisse will stay out. This is one thing that the Swarm can do, Ryan, is they can play both ends of the floor. So you got a guy like Matisse who has a shift on O, and then we'll stay back and play some defense. Now Matisse charges the net. There's a crease dive, and Bucktooth will fall down on him, and we'll have some emotion shown in the crease for
I think the referee's saying that's a goal, I think, Brad.
Well, they're congratulating Matisse. He fell right on top of Tyler Richards, that big 6'5" frame. Yeah, you're right. It's going to stand. As Matisse, that's just that big 6'5" frame just pounding his way inside. It wasn't pretty. Didn't really reach too far around Richards. Just sort of bumped into him. No call. Goal stands. 1-0 Minnesota. Stealth bring it to the offensive zone. Trying to answer back. Almost 5 minutes gone here. 1-0 Swarm on top of the Stealth. Reese Dutch with the ball. Has a lane. Comes inside. Shoots high. The rebound picked up by Minnesota in front of their own bench. Or their own net, rather. Gilbert back the other way. Waits for his offensive players and Ryan Benesh to set up. Benesh to Crawford. Being watched by Salt. Pass far side to Jackson. The trailer through the middle is McIntosh. He has the ball, now passes back to Benesh. Trying to get around his man. Far side to Crawford. He drops another pass. Holding their sticks a bit too tight here, the Swarm. Now Jackson dangles around Garrison. Bounce shot. Richards makes the stop there.
That was a really nice move right there. Did a little underneath with his stick, freed up his hands, took a nice shot. That's a good save by Richards.
Swarm with a few outside shots. The Stealth have been in a few times as Bucktooth looks to get something going in the O zone. Cliff Smith now. Right through the middle comes Cliff Smith. Two bodies greet him as he chucks his soft bouncer towards Carlson. He makes the stop. Carlson looks for a pass down floor. It could have been a big bump on Matisse. A big body to move. Matisse, the right-handed shot, who keeps bringing the ball into the offensive zone on his wrong side and always has to retreat around the net. It's behind the net now. Matisse looking for something. Pick set. As a shot fires. Richards the stop rebound. Picked up by Moleskine again, flexing his wheels and heads up the floor. 3-on-1 for the Stealth. Dean Hill's the trailer. Moleskine fires, rebound, dunks it in, and that one will stand. Great veteran effort by Jeff Moleskine. It's a tie game at ones.
That all started back in the Stealth's end right there by Moleskine. What an awesome play that he just made, avoiding two defensemen that were trying to sandwich him and stop him from getting up floor. He split the gap, ran the floor, took a shot, bounced off the goalie's pad. He grabbed it back and buried it to the back of the net. Nice play there by Jeff.
First goal of the season for the veteran Jeff Moleskine. Missed 4 games, came back last week against Calgary, grabbed 6 loose balls, and now tonight he has the first goal on the board for the Washington Stealth. 8:20 to go, first quarter from Comcast Arena. It's a 1-1 lacrosse game. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
Get it now, just $10, and show your support for the Providence Comprehensive Breast Center. All the proceeds going to them for all the t-shirts that are sold. Look at that. You can look as pretty as me in pink. All you got to do is spend $10 and it goes to a great cause. March 30th is the Pink in the Rink game here at the Comcast Arena. And while we're celebrating things, let's celebrate some birthdays. Hey, Bomber, who you got here? Who's birthday?
Contours outside of the ice box.
Tonight's game is brought to you in part by Reebok. Redefine your game with Reebok's new Black line. Reebok Black was designed and engineered for the elite lacrosse player. Reebok's Black line features a lightweight, minimalistic design with carbon light technology. Performance-driven, technology-driven, NLL proven. Find all the new Reebok lacrosse gear online at ReebokBlack.com. Brad Challoner and Ryan Powell from Comcast with a Stealth in transition. Kyle Sorensen, Ratcliffe, the trailer shot, and a big shoulder save by Carlson. Hodgson circles around for to get the loose ball, and the Stealth will set up on O, out shooting Minnesota right now 8-6. Mitch McMichael, the Dutch, the trailer, as the Minnesota defense sets up. Bucktooth to Ratcliffe. Mitch McMichael, the Dutch behind the net being pressured by Gilbert. Pass in front for Ratcliffe. He's on his wrong side, so he passes over to Dutch. Pick set by Bucktooth. Dutch has a lane, fires and hit a body on the way through like a bullet. Jeff Gilbert goes down. That'll hurt. But in transition comes Billick up the floor. Bouncer hits the netting out of play.
That was a nice run out there, and just caught a little bit too tight there in his stick and bounced one over the top.
Great wheels by Nick Billick, though. Some of the fastest legs in the league. And Joel Henry chases down a loose ball in the offensive zone. And Matisse, who has the goal for Minnesota, moving pick called on the Stealth, though. So a couple of players trade some slashes, and the Stealth will get to bring the ball up the floor. Chris O'Doherty across center. Gilbert out to greet him after taking that bullet from Dutch. Now Ratcliffe in deep for Cliff Smith. Pick set. Smith hits Iannucci out of the gate. Iannucci bringing into the offensive zone. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Nucci has a lane. Tries to get a pass far side, but a penalty coming up here. I believe it's an offensive zone penalty by Dean Hill, and he'll sit down. So the Minnesota power play will go to work. The league's worst, 43.9. So they'll look to turn that number around here. Oh, it'll be coincidentals, I guess, here, Ryan. Dean Hill sitting down and Brock Sorensen sitting down. So 5-on-5 lacrosse, as these penalties will just cancel each other out.
Yeah, we'll see if this left side can get going here for Washington a little bit.
Iannucci pass inside for Dutch, drops it. Ratcliffe spinning, shooting. That's the second one that Ratcliffe's rolled across the carpet. And Kyle Carlson, rather, seems to be up to the task.
I've always been really impressed with Lewis Ratcliffe, the ability to get off shots. He's not afraid to shoot the ball, but he gets a lot of high-quality shots over the course of a ball game.
Jay Card in the offensive zone for Minnesota. Gets the ball far side to Jackson. Shane Jackson again. Plays the ball in deep now. Crawford's on the left wing wall. Swims over top of his defender. Passes to the top of the zone. Bouncer by Jackson goes wide, and the Stealth are after the loose ball. Shot clock violation on Minnesota, though. Stealth probably had possession already, but they're going to blow it down and give him a fresh clock to work with anyhow. Iannucci trots across center from Washington. Brett Bucktooth will bring it in deep. Looking for help deep for Iannucci. Pass far side to Ratcliffe. There's a shot and a goal. He just mentioned he likes to shoot. And Lou makes it 2-1.
Yeah, Lewis did a great job right there. Got his stick head nice and high. Did a little twister down to the 5-hole and put one through on Carlson.
17 goals so far this season for Lewis Ratcliffe. He was a few away from 400 on the career. Now Ratcliffe to Smith, who just bowls his way into the zone, drops his shoulder into his defender. Now the Stealth will work the ball around. Pass intended for Dutch is over his head. Now he picks it up, he's bodied into the corner by Gilbert. Pass to the top of the zone to Ratcliffe again. A little pirouette, and then another roller across the carpet. Carlson's 3 for 3 on those. It was the overhand shot for Ratcliffe that beat him eventually. Now Benesh into the O-zone with Matisse. Again, there's that righty on that other side of the floor, Ryan. Ball's over to Benesh. Bounce shot goes wide. And McIntosh inside for Matisse on the crease. Tries to go far side, short side, and that ball is over the net. And out of play with a stoppage here as the ball hit the netting. 4:49 to go first quarter. Stealth on top of the Minnesota Swarm. Brad Challoner and Ryan Powell from Comcast Street in Everett. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse.
Presented by G2 Salon and Seattle Executive Fitness. Please welcome back the Bombshells. Let's hear it for the Bombshells, presented by G2 Salon and Seattle Executive Fitness.
NLL Radio offers the best online radio coverage of the National Lacrosse League. You can now listen to NLL Radio on your smartphone anytime. Just download the popular TuneIn Radio app, that's TuneIn, and find NLL Radio under the More Sports section. Hear the latest episode of every show anytime on your phone. For more information, visit nll.com/radio. It's the Stealth 2, the Swarm 1. 2 players in the penalty box still for it's a Swarm power play now, just at the end of that. Before the commercial break, Tyler Garrison, the Stealth rookie, took a penalty, so it's a Swarm power play. With Ryan Benesh quarterbacking this one, there's a shot. Richards is trickling behind him, but he grabbed it right before it went across the line.
I'd like to see Crawford be a little bit more aggressive there and look for a shot a little bit. He's trying to really distribute the ball and get other guys involved, and I get that part of it, but they need him to get to the cage or take an outside ripper and get something going there for that Swarm offense.
Ratcliffe shorthand will go for a lap of the offensive zone. He's in deep, rings one off Carlson's shoulders behind the net, bounces out front. The Swarm will pick it off and head back up on the power play for a minute 7. Penalties to Dean Hill and Brock Sorensen have expired, but they're coincidental and can't leave the penalty box until the next whistle. It's a matchup that the Stealth probably likes. Sorensen, a solid rookie defender. Now Benesh falling takes a shot. Richards up to the task, and Mike Grimes picks up the rebound and heads up the floor with the one-handed power cradle. Rolls it across the rug to Matt Beers, and the Stealth penalty killing unit will roll out.
So now if you're a Minnesota guy, you're just looking for a stop right here, trying to get the ball back from the Stealth and get one more short stab at another opportunity on the power play.
They're not rolling the double team. They're just watching the Stealth sort of spread the zone, and they run out of clock there and roll the ball into the corner. So a 17-second power play for Minnesota, who want to get the ball up the floor here in a hurry. There's Crawford, who dishes over to Benesh. Back to Crawford. Now he's going to wind up and shoot! And there you go. Ryan Powell says shoot. He does. And it's off the crossbar with a lot of heat on it.
I was watching that Rochester and Colorado game last night. There was 3 shots off the crossbar in about a 2-minute span.
Yeah, I know. Lacrosse game where most of these are won by 1 or 2 goals, those crossbars can be the difference makers. Now Beers gets the ball to center to Garrison, who's out of the penalty box now. Even strength as the rookie goes for a jog straight into the zone, rolls one, and Carlson stopping everything that's rolling across the carpet so far tonight.
I think he's been really solid so far. You're right on it, Brad. He's looking really good in there.
Garrison tries to split a couple defenders, but the ball's knocked out of his stick. Shot clock running down, and now the Stealth didn't have possession, so they won't call over and back here. They're saying they lost possession. Minnesota had it. And now the Swarm bring it to the O-zone. There's a shot blocked by Bucktooth, and the Stealth regain possession and bring it up the floor.
Not a very good shot right there, really early on in the shot clock. 10, 12 feet out, and you got to work for a better shot than that. There was a guy standing right in front of him as well.
Ratcliffe eyeing his options, has a lane, comes through center. Now he's too far deep and has to turn back and look for a pass. Hits it to Cliff Smith with 4 seconds on the shot clock. To Dutch, winds up, fires, and a big chest save by Carlson there. The pressure defense by Minnesota, who kept the Stealth almost to a shot clock violation. Swarm again in possession. Here's Earl brings it into the corner, hands off to Benesh. Far side to Corbin Teo, the Coquitlam native. Takes a shot high and wide, rebound. And we got an illegal pick called on Minnesota, so the Stealth will get the ball. T. Rich goes for a little jog. Hands off to Iannucci in the final minute of the first quarter. Stealth 2, Swarm 1.
I always like those nice athletic goalies that'll get out of the crease and run up, grab a ball, and be on the whistle right away to get the play started.
McMichael tries to go behind the back, but yeah, you're right. It gets the goalie. If you haven't seen a shot in a couple minutes, it gets them involved in the game, gets their legs moving, keeps them loose.
Yep, and gets your offense flowing a little bit better too. You're right on top of it.
Shane Jackson brings the ball into the offensive zone. It keeps throwing me off seeing these righties on that side of the floor for Minnesota. It looks like something that they've strategized about. Matisse and Jordan McIntosh, both right-handed shots who come up the floor and play on that lefty side. What do you think the strategy is there?
I'm not sure why he keeps getting over on that side of the floor. Shouldn't be the case. That was a big hit right there. Right in front of the Swarm bench.
Delayed penalty coming up, I believe. No, they're just going to try the sneak play stealth as Richards comes up to the gate. And in the dying seconds, Stealth try the sneak play. They get a shot off. Carlson's up to the task. So that does it for the first quick 15 minutes. Some back and forth action, not a lot of scoring. 15 shots for Washington, 12 for Minnesota. It's 2-1 after 15. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
Here's how it works. Up in the stands, we've got section 107 and 119 competing today. You're going to take the fish. You're going to go all the way up to the top of the section, back down, toss it over the glass. Standing in front of 107 is Isaac. And in front of 119 is Quinn. And once these guys get the fish over the top of the glass, first one to put it in the net wins gift certificates to Anthony's for their section. Are we ready? Cheer them on, everybody. Make a little bit of noise, huh? On your mark, get set, go! Good start for 117, 107, 119, coming down. It's over the top on this side. He's got to put it in the net. Quinn! And section 119 wins.
Aggressive, try to attack the cage a little bit harder. You've noticed there's only been a couple different guys that have dove and taken a shot on the cage. You know, usually you see that a little bit more because players are really pressing, trying to get underneath, trying to get to the cage. Yeah. Right now, after the first quarter, you see a lot of guys settling for that outside shot at this point.
Yeah, and what Minnesota's one goal was exactly that, was Matisse diving the net and crashing the crease. So 1 minute gone here, second quarter of action. Nathan Iannucci, this is a guy who could beat anybody one-on-one, and he does! Falling, sprawling, and chucking it down low. It's 3-1 Washington.
That was a very nice goal right there, a little inside roll, kept that stick protected, reached out at the end before he fell into the crease, and stuck it to the far side. Nice goal right there.
17 on the year for Iannucci. You can pair that with an assist he got in the first quarter, so 2 points so far. And Nuch had a season high 4 goals, 3 assists last week. I think we're going to have a timeout on the floor here for Minnesota. Washington, I believe, called the timeout. The Swarm aren't really crowded around their coaching staff right now. It looks like the Stealth, who are more involved down on the floor.
No, I think that the challenge flag came out they're going to take another look at that goal there.
Well, Joe Sullivan's flag of the first half. Bad camera angles in this building. That's beautiful town, beautiful barn, but we don't have a great replay system in Comcast Arena, and I don't know if we can see much from here.
I thought it looked good to me. Watching it in real time, I thought it was a clean goal, and it should stand.
Referee Todd LeBranch with the call, and it's good. So Swarm lose their challenge here in the 2-minute and 3-second mark of the second quarter. And back to the face-off circle we go, Bobby Snyder and Jordan McIntosh. With that win, Snyder is now 5-1 in the circle.
That was your point there in the pregame. It was going to be a big area.
And McIntosh is a guy who can beat almost every other team and win his over 50% almost every other night. But until you run in to either one of the Snyder brothers.
Little loose ball push down there in the corner. It's going to give the ball back to the Swarm. Let's see if they can't get something going here on offense.
Benesh dishes far side to Crawford. Winds up, doesn't take a shot. Now he will. Gets a lot of heat behind those Rockets, and Richards makes another save. And now a couple players mixing up in front of the bench. McIntosh and Matt Beers will lock horns. And will they go? McIntosh loses a bucket. But no worse for the wear, no punches thrown. We'll see if we get a couple coincidental minors. And Beers is an agitator, and it looks like a few of these Swarm players are already under his skin, and now the Swarm are going to draw one here. There's Crawford, the captain. Oh, Bill, he's just arguing it. Billick and McIntosh will sit down, so Matt Beers is able to goad two Swarm players into a penalty, and the Stealth will come up with a power play because of this.
I know the Washington fans are very happy about that call right there, but with all the stuff that goes on out there, I think the referee overreacted on that one and sending a guy in there for just a little late unnecessary stuff. So you see that all the time, and they got to kind of pick and choose, but I didn't see much there that warranted a penalty and a two-man down opportunity.
So Nick Billick, who took the extra two. And now Reese Dutch and the Stealth power play will go to work, and Iannucci basically almost just a replay of his last goal. They could have just queued that up on the Jumbotron and done it all over again. It's 4-1.
Well, we talked about it before the game. I told the young players at home to watch the stick work. That's just phenomenal stick work down low right there. And again, like you said, a very similar goal, but nonetheless, another goal to the back of the net, and it's 4-1 here at the Stealth early second quarter.
With McIntosh in the penalty box, they don't know who's going to take the draw. Suter's injured, and Mac's in the box, so Corbin Teo will come out. And a good win for Bobby Snyder as he's jumped in front of his own bench. And big Jeff Gilbert will pick up the ball and retreat into his own zone. 8 seconds ticking away. And he'll have to retreat across center. Now he gets it in deep for Shane Jackson. Ball's far side. Back to Jackson. Tries to get through the middle. Dangles down low and curls back around. Pressure's on, so Jackson dishes far side to Kyle Matisse. Tries a quick stick pass over to Jackson. He misfired. And the Stealth are there for the Lucy and head back up the floor. Chris Hall telling his team to slow it down right now from the bench. Ratcliffe in possession. Gets it back to Iannucci. Bucktooth. Now Ratcliffe's caught on his wrong side of the floor, so he dishes to Dean Hill. Bucktooth through the middle. Sidearm shots wide. Rebound, but that'll do it for the shot clock. And Minnesota will have to go back the other way. And down by 3, we'll need to get a goal here.
Washington's really starting to do a good job on offense. You see all 5 guys moving. They're working well together, and they got a nice flow going right now. Minnesota needs to get some life and get some energy going on the offensive end and start working together in a little bit more flow here and get one back.
Pitchell's without a stick, pass over his head. And Matisse fighting for the loose ball. There's a big off-ball hit by Nick Billick, and the Stealth pick up the loose ball and head up the floor with wheels. Mike Grimes to Iannucci, and there's the hat-trick goal, the natural hat-trick goal for number 83, and it's 4-1 Washington.
Good battle there on the defensive end for the Stealth. They had some transition, had a 3-on-2 opportunity. Iannucci came and filled that 4 spot, caught the ball, quick stick, didn't give the goalie time to react, and he buried it near side. Nice goal.
Ty Carlson's taking a walk to the bench right now. Is Evan Kirk going to grab his bucket? Might just be a breather, or it might be a goaltender change. Carlson wants to get his equipment looked at. But probably just wants to slow the pace down and give his team a chance to breathe and regroup.
Absolutely. Don't think that that's not part of the game. Anything, it's like a coach taking a timeout or the goaltender getting a little bit of additional tape on his pads just to try to take a little momentum away. And they certainly do need to try to get some of that momentum back on their side here. Without the presence of their captain, this is scary times right now for Minnesota. So they need to turn things around. And like I said, I think it comes down to energy and a little bit more explosiveness on the offensive end that's going to turn things around. Every opportunity that I'm seeing that Minnesota has the ball, they're settling for outside shots. You've noticed Washington having a lot of success fighting to get in tight. I'd like to see Minnesota try to do that a little bit here and capitalize on some of that inside game, work for better shots.
And they have players that can do it. Callum Crawford, Ryan Benesh, Shane Jackson, Matisse. Any one of those guys has a good chance of going one-on-one with anybody in the Washington lineup. Just a matter of the wherewithal to get her done. Now Matisse inside, takes a shot, and Richards able to get over and make the stop. And there's Matisse again on the right side of the floor with the right-handed shot. And I think if he was on the other side of the floor that time, he would have had a better chance to score on that opportunity. Now Crawford inside to Matisse, pushed away.
Nice look.
Now Crawford inside charges the net. Off the shoulder of Richards, not of play, but Minnesota will keep it with a fresh clock. Crawford rifles one. Benesh, the rebound. Deke shoots, waits, and Richards gets the paddle out. He outweighted Benesh with about 4 fakes there. Great save for T. Rich.
Benesh did a really nice job right there moving Richards and had him right upright and had a little opening, but Richard had a stick there and made a really nice save.
Pick set for Ratcliffe. He takes it, goes far side to Reese Dutch. Bounce pass off the board. Errant pass. Bouncing around at center. Again, no over and back. Waved off. The Stealth almost out of shot clock. Will just throw it all the way down to Ty Carlson. Swarm down by 4. 10 minutes to go. Second quarter from Comcast Arena. Andrew Suter is in the building tonight. He said he's going to be the team's #1 cheerleader for the rest of the season. And he's going to be cheering for that one as Corbin Teo just step, and fired that one top shelf, and the Swarm get within 3.
Got himself into a pretty good area right there and got one top shelf near side. Nice goal.
Actually, Jake Hart on the goal. Scratch that. The sophomore out of Hofstra makes it 5-2. Corbin Teo gets the assist on it.
These goaltenders take up a lot of the net, so anytime you see a nice shot from the outside like that, it's very accurate shooting. It's a nice rip and much needed goal.
Ratcliffe back the other way for Washington. Pushed outside by Downing, who we had as a pregame scratch, but he's in the lineup right now. Now the ball's to Iannucci, fakes a shot, whips it overhead, cuts in, but a moving pick called on Washington, and they'll have to retreat back the other way. 9:17 to go, first half of action. The Stealth 5, the Swarm 2. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
Fans, it's time to recognize tonight's Scuttlebutt Brewing Company hero of the game. Or at each Stealth home game this season, Scuttlebutt Brewing Company will celebrate a hero in our community. Today's hero has served in the United States Navy for 18 years, with nearly all of it the last year spent abroad in Afghanistan. Throughout his accomplished military career, he's earned the U.S. Army Commendation Medal, Afghanistan Campaign Medal, the NATO Medal, the Navy Achievement Medals, 3 Meritorious Unit Citations, Navy E Ribbons, 6 Good Conduct Medals, 2 National Defense Service Medals, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Humanitarian Service Medal, Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal, 2 Sea Service Ribbons, the Navy and Marine Corps Overseas Service Ribbons, and the Navy Expert Rifle and Pistol Ribbons. Originally hailing from Guam, please welcome and join in celebrating tonight's Scuttlebutt Brewing Company Hero of the Game, Master at Arms First Class Petty Officer Joseph A. Reyes. Stealth President David Takata is now presenting Joseph with a gift card to the Scuttlebutt Brewing Company. Joseph, Scuttlebutt, and the Stealth proudly salute you. Thank you.
And he can get up the floor in a hurry. That's 6'5" stride across center. Matisse winds up, fires, and Richards. We have the shoulder pad save again. Garrison jumped out of the gate, so he dishes far side to Justin Salt. To Mitch McMichael. Brett Bucktooth, who had his best game of the season last week against Calgary here. And Carlson makes a stop and looks up the floor. Picked up by Earl in transition around his man. Over to Benesh. Deke shoots again. Richards outweights Benesh and makes a stop.
That was like a replay from the first one here. Just a couple minutes ago, Benesh tried the same exact shot. Got to change that up.
Now Dutch winds up. Hit a stick on the way through. Took an awkward bounce, but Carlson made the stop. Now Dutch crunches Earl into the boards. Loose balls picked up by the Swarm, and here they go up the floor. Dan Ball to Jeff Gilbert, but they run out of time. That's 8 seconds. Stealth forced a turnover and get a fresh clock. 17 saves so far for Tyler Richards. Now Ratcliffe takes a bouncer. Carlson didn't know where the rebound was. Now he looks up the floor, fumbles the pass, and now he dishes to center. Again, Swarm in some trouble here, clearing their own zone.
I thought that was interference on the goaltender by Bucktooth. I believe 2 times in a row. Got a little piece of him and disrupted that pass. Can't hit the goalie's stick when he's in the crease.
Crawford to Henry. In too deep. Ball's turned over, and here comes Garrison up the floor in a hurry. Tyler Garrison to Mick Iannucci off the bench. Whips one wide. With lots of time on the shot clock, he'll want that one back. But interference called on the goaltender Carlson. So the calls aren't going the right way right now for Minnesota. Pick set for McMichael. He takes it, comes to the middle. Passes over to the corner to Iannucci. Over to Ratcliffe. Top of the zone to Iannucci to Dutch. Drops a pass. Has to chase it into the corner. But Sorensen pushes Dutch out of the way and scoops up the loose ball. Sorensen Up the floor in stride. The 6'6" Rook. The Jackson bounce shot wide. I think Richards got a piece of it. They're calling it a shot. Toe saved by T. Rich. Now Benesh has the lane. Pass down the crease to Jackson. Dishes far side. Bouncers wide. Benesh looking for Crawford with that. You know, you get a tall guy who can get his stick 7 feet in the air. And Minnesota offense frustrated as Jackson smashes his stick into the back wall.
This game is definitely a game of flows, the National Lacrosse League, and you can tell that Minnesota's starting to click just a little bit more on offense right now. Getting a lot more better shots.
Benesh just wrung one off the side of Jeff Molesky's bucket, and he went down hard. The crowd sounded concerned, and Mo will run that one off. Just a bullet. Ryan Benesh can shoot. And he's going straight to the room. Be a tough loss if he doesn't make his way back. Molesky missed 4 games earlier this season. The native of Prince George, BC, will likely shake that one off, we hope. You ever taken a bullet like that?
I have not.
Fortunately.
That's an okay thing.
Have you ever hit someone with a bullet like that?
I believe I have hit a few people.
Iannucci top of the zone over to Dutch. Around his man. Dutch looking for helpers on the far side. Doesn't have anyone. Now Ratcliffe squirts free. Ratcliffe tries to cut his way down east. In too deep. He's behind the net. Tries a little jump shot. Carlson over to get the save.
If Lewis would have rolled the other way there, he had Dean Hill that was wide open up top for a nice lefty shot.
Tyler Haas to Benesh. To Corbin Teo. Tries a sub shot, hit a leg. And Mike Grimes is there for the loose ball. And for a pass up floor is over top of a lot of heads. And ends up in the paddle of Carlson as the stealth throw one away. Billick uses his wheels to get the ball off the floor, and this Swarm offense who's looked dangerous. Benesh lets another one go, but this one's picked off by Garrison.
There have been a lot of shots so far in this first half that have been deflected or hit somebody or right into their stick.
21 shots on goal for Minnesota, but yeah, probably another 6 to 10 that haven't made their way through. Iannucci likes this one-on-one against Downing, takes a shot off the back of the net. Shot clock winding down, and the Swarm will pick this one up. A breakaway from center all alone. Krepensek against Richards, and the big shoulder save. There's those wheels by the Swarm as Earl comes up the floor. There's another one blocked, and Richards gets there. Ratcliffe's hanging out in the offensive zone, being picked on right now by Downing. Now the stealth bringing it across the line to the roar of the crowd.
Couple turnovers here by the stealth. Lucky for them, they had Richards in the net, and he's made a couple big saves. But that's what Tyler, listening to the call this week, he wanted to focus on executing the game plan and cutting down on turnovers. And that's something that Washington has done a couple times in a row. But they just got a nice goal right there.
Dean Hill just bodying his way to the net. Big frame, 6'3", 225. This drops the shoulder into his defender and makes it 6-2. Though the Stealth increasing their lead a little bit.
I had the opportunity to play with Dean in Edmonton. He's a great scorer. And so isn't that guy that just ripped that one to the back of the net. That's Brett Bucktooth.
Yeah, they're coming in bunches right now. 2 quickies by the Washington Stealth as Bucktooth gets a pat on the back from his teammates. And it's 7-2. Bucktooth playing with a lot of confidence right now. His best game of the year, I mentioned, was last week against Calgary. And it's because they gave him a bit more responsibility. And here, goals are coming right now. I don't even get to call the play-by-play on. They're just coming in. Nick Billick swats one through the 5-hole of Tyler Richards. So Swarm get back within 4. Nick Billick, I believe, is first of the year, yeah.
Call that one there a garbage goal. Just cleaning up the loose ball in front of the crease, right in front of the cage. And Richards was extended out. out of position. An easy one to put to the back of the net there.
Saw a goal last night exactly like that in the Edmonton-Calgary game, and Grant Farhall, the commentator there, was just saying that's exactly what that is. It's a garbage goal that you don't see a ton of in lacrosse. You don't see guys just swatting at a bouncing ball on the crease, but when it does happen, it tends to work.
Absolutely. Any way you can get it to the back of the net in this league, you're always happy when you get a goal.
Bucktooth's ninth of the year, but back to Brett Bucktooth, who last week went 2-2 in the Calgary game, and they put him for the first time this season as the point man on the power play because he's got such a great stick and he's really able to make quick, short passes to his shooters in Dutch and Ratcliffe, and it turned out to be successful. A couple power play goals for Washington in the big win last week, and they've got one power play goal so far tonight, shot by Iannucci.
Yeah, when you look around the league, you usually have your top stick handler playing at the top, a guy that's got good vision. He's got a little backhand in his game that he can get the ball to the other side of the floor if need be. Kind of all the different weapons, trying to get the ball through on passing lanes with a little low to high pass, that kind of thing. So it's definitely important, and that's I'm sure why Brett is up top on the power play now, because he is known for having a great stick.
4-goal hole for the Minnesota Swarm. It's 7-3 with 2:59 to go in the first half. Brad Schellner and Ryan Powell from Comcast Arena in Everett. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
Challenger, or is it the green, the Jeep Grand Cherokee? On your mark, get set, and go from Dwayne Lanes in South Everett, up Evergreen Way, down to Mukilteo, past Boeing, home of the 747. Now down to the Everett Waterfront, past Scuttlebutt, Rui, and then the Naval Station Everett, home of the USS Nimitz. Back through downtown Everett to go on the way to Comcast Arena. Hoyt and Wallen downtown to the Monte Cristo Hotel. Who's going to win the race? Yell out your favorite car as they come down Hewitt Avenue at breakneck speed, and it's going to be the blue car, the Chrysler SRT 300. The race around Everett presented by the Dwayne Lane family of auto centers. Remember, we'll take care of you. Dwayne Lane Launch Ball is coming up at halftime. You can win stealth tickets, and one lucky fan will take home $100 cash. Balls are available for $2 each or 3 for $5 at the Launch Ball table near the icebox. All proceeds tonight benefit Mahauya Lacrosse.
Get down with OPP.
The previous Minnesota goal was scored
The Minnesota
by
Swarm 3, down by 4 goals. The Washington Stealth right now 7-3, under 3 to go in the first half. Brad Schellner and Ryan Powell with you from Comcast Arena. This Swarm trying to score a couple in a row here, which they haven't done yet tonight. Every goal has been broken up by the Washington Stealth. It's a game of runs, but the Swarm haven't given themselves one yet here.
That was a nice off-ball cut right there. Good catch and shoot. Just didn't really put it into a very good place, and Richards was easily able to grab that one from between the wickets.
Iannucci to Dutch to Ratcliffe shot. Carlson the kick save, rebounds on his doorstep. Who wants it? The white jerseys are there, and the Minnesota Swarm head up the floor. Alex Krepensek. And the Burlington Junior Chiefs. Hands off to Crawford, being chased by Pitchell. In too deep, he runs into Justin Salt, now curls back around. Pitchell lays a slash on his wrist, and Crawford drops the ball loosely into the corner. Shot clock winding down. As Crawford chucks one wide. Great pressure there by the rookie Justin Pitchell to force the veteran into some trouble.
Just not generating much at all, that possession there. It stayed with Callum the whole time, down on that low right corner. Didn't really get out of there. And you got to see a little bit more back and forth with the ball, and that's going to keep the defense on the swivel a little bit more and free up some space.
Ratcliffe to Dutch, the cycle, the shot, and Carlson the save. Sorensen looks up the floor. Gets it to Ball, and he brings it with speed across the line. Looking at the bench. Looking for the trailer. There's still one more to change. No, Ball will stay for the shift on O. Here's Jay Cart against Beers. Back to Corbin Tao. Now the man comes out. It's Callum Crawford. Goes for a lap behind the net. looking to get a shot. It's wide. The rebound's picked up by Henry, who tries to hand off to Crawford, but it's an errant pass, and it's picked off by Hodgson into the Stealth. Under a minute to go in the half. Hodgson being chased by Haas. Hands off to Dean Hill. He's in some trouble against Tyler Haas, so he rolls it to Bucktooth. That's center. Iannucci whips it, and it's out of play, and a fan's got a souvenir. Hard shot by Nooch.
It's a situation that you may see a timeout here. By Minnesota, set up a nice 6-on-5 play.
Doc Carlson's coming to the gate. Extra attackers on. Crawford and Henry come out. Yep. Henry bumps into O'Doherty, and now the Swarm will look up at the clock and set up. There is a differential, 14 on game clock, 12 on the shotty. And Crawford will just put on the brakes and work the ball around. Now the motion starts. Crawford to McIntosh, comes in, beats his mound bouncer, ends up out of play. So the set play worked, but Jordan McIntosh just couldn't get the proper shot off. And with about 2 seconds here, the Stealth will have to blow it in their own end. Beers will just chuck it up the floor most likely. And that's it for the first half. 7-3. Oh, they're going to try this again. 3 seconds on the clock as Beers step, fire. It's a back all the way up the floor. And now, again, that'll do it for the first half. 7-3 Washington Stealth on the Minnesota Swarm. And just a tale of two different offenses, I guess. Ryan, Stealth was clicking and Minnesota couldn't generate much.
Absolutely, and one thing that you mentioned pregame was just about the transition. And I feel like Coach Hall and the Washington Stealth are all over that. They're working hard to get back to the bench. So Minnesota's not having chances going the other way. And then, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more that there's just not a whole lot of flow on the Minnesota offensive side of things.
So what do they need to get that going then in the next half?
Well, like I said earlier on, I think that you need a couple guys that are going to try to go by people, start generating a little bit more offense. It seems like guys are hanging around the outside too much, and they're not getting the ball to the middle of the floor into good scoring opportunities. So they need to do a better job of that. You know, I think Washington, like you said, their offense is clicking, doing a really nice job. They could clean things up a little bit, getting the ball up the floor, and they'd have a couple more offensive opportunities if they do that.
So through 30 minutes, the Washington Stealth 7, the Minnesota Swarm 3. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network. Mitch McMichael, rookie transition player from the Washington Stealth, will join me at halftime. I recorded a conversation with him earlier today, so we'll get his thoughts on his opposition and his travels and road to the National Lacrosse League. An undrafted player who has made quite the impact here so far in 2013. So stand by for Mitch McMichael, the rookie of the Washington Stealth. My name is Brad Schellner alongside Ryan Powell tonight. If you have any questions for us at the half, you can find me on Twitter at Laxcaster or email me at bcjall@hotmail.com. We'll answer your questions heading in to the second half of tonight's game. Again, the Stealth 7, the Swarm 3. After 30 minutes, you're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
LAX.com and sign up for the Stealth newsletter for more details on how you can win the 2013 Chrysler 200 on April 20th when the Stealth take on the Philadelphia Wings. Let's go to Magic Mike.
All right. It's that launch.
Of the National Lacrosse League Incorporated may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the National Lacrosse League. He's from Port Perry, Ontario, a former Whitby Junior A Warrior and a former face-off specialist at Cornell University. He signed his first pro contract as a free agent with the Washington Stealth for the 2013 season, and after his first NLL game was named the Transition Player of the Week. In Week 6, he was also named the NLL's Rookie of the Week. He now lives and works in the Pacific Northwest and has scored some of the prettiest goals in the league this season. Please welcome to the halftime show from the Washington Stealth, number 32 in your programs, Mr. Mitch McMichael. Mitch, how you doing?
Good, thanks, Brad. How you doing?
Doing really well. I'll get to work with Ryan Powell this afternoon, which is pretty special. We want to know your thoughts, Mitch, on the Minnesota Swarm team.
I mean, they're a really strong team. You know, they have a lot of young talent, especially coming at the back end there with fellow Ontarioan Brock Sorensen back there. You know, he's a big fella, can really move the ball up the floor, and they've got some great production out of Kyle Matisse and Shane at the back there at the front door there. So they're a strong team. I mean, we're gonna have to play well and hopefully get the win.
They're a strong transition team. That's what they've been known for in the last couple of years. As a transition player yourself, how do you prepare to face against a team that likes to run the ball up the floor?
I mean, when you're facing a fast transition team like Minnesota, you got to be always cognizant of them moving the ball up from the back end. So, I mean, when there's about 5 seconds left in the shot clock or so, you just got to be more in tune to what the defensive players are doing on the other team there, and instead of maybe hunting down a 50-50 loose ball that you may have a chance of getting, you're probably going to head back because guys are going to be busting up the floor and get back on defense and defend and try to shut down that transition because that's a huge part of their game. If we can take that away, then I think we're going to be all right.
First in the West right now, but the Stealth haven't won 2 games in a row since the opening 2 games of the season. What's the key going to be to string a couple wins together?
I think just building off of what has made us successful in those wins. As you said, we haven't strung 2 together since the first 2 of the season, and that's just not good enough for us. I mean, we want to, even though we're first in the West, I don't think we're nowhere near where we want to be. I think the good thing is we have just under half the season left to make those changes and prove that, and hopefully make a spot in the playoffs there. And but I think we just gotta build on what we do in the previous game. We got to win. I mean, I think we kind of lose that train of thought and just that mentality. And if we can bring that into into every game, and I think we'll be pretty successful.
The Harlem Shake video has gone viral. You've had more views on that, I think, so far than some of the games on YouTube this year, unfortunately, because I call those things. But the video's taken off. The Stealth look like a team having a lot of fun right now, very loose. Is that the mood in the locker room?
Yes and no. I mean, we're there to have fun, at the end of the day, and we love the game of lacrosse, and, we're there to entertain the fans and, hopefully put on a show for them, whether it be on the floor or, doing a crazy dance video before practice. So, it was good. I think Mac was just hilarious at the front there, and, it was just kind of keeping things light, and, we thought it'd be funny, so hope people liked it.
Mitch, you signed as a free agent. Where did the Stealth hunt you down?
It was kind of interesting. I came out here with the intentions to coach and with Lewis Ratcliffe, and kind of my brother actually was the one who really kind of made the initial contact with the Stealth and me, and just kind of introduced me to a couple people, and Lewis as well just kind of gave me Doug Walker's phone number and just kind of sent an email, called him up, and said, hey, I'd love a tryout. I don't think anybody's going to draft me. I've been out of the league pretty long, so just kind of asked for a tryout and went out to camp and kind of gave it my all there, and had the opportunity to make the team.
Your brother Ryan, who plays with Lewis up at the Langley Thunder in the WLA, always watching the games and always quick to send me a tweet when I mess up your name because it's the tongue twister, Mitch McMichaels. Kevin and I are always having a lot of fun with that up in the broadcast booth, so apologies for that when we do screw it up, my friend.
No, that's fine. I've already let Kev know that he's messed up my name a couple times, and he promised me he fixed it. So, but no, my brother's pretty quick on the Twitter handle there to get all over people, and he's my biggest supporter, and he's just awesome coming in after the games and looking at some of the tweets and the text messages he sends me. It's real encouraging. It's awesome to see.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that you were away from the indoor game for almost 5 years. The last stats I found on you indoors were from the 2009 Whitby Warrior Junior A Club. Were you really away from the indoor game for 5 years?
It's been probably 5 years since I played a full season.
So what's the transition back inside the box been like for you?
It was rocky at the start. It's just little things, trying to remember, where I'm supposed to be in the floor, where I'm supposed to take guys in defensively. just finding the little things that I really kind of have trouble with, and I'm still kind of, figuring out as I go. It's just the distances, where I am on the floor, as opposed to, being on the field, just trying to figure out, different angles and things like that, they're just starting to come back for me. And, I think hopefully if I can keep getting some playing time with the Stealth here, and some of those things will really start coming back, and I can kind of get in a groove.
Well, you're finding the back of the net, and most of your goals, if not all of them, has been nominated for the top 10 on IL Indoor, and they've been on some of the other websites being ranked. You're scoring pretty goals, Mitch, on a smaller net than you're used to. When you have the ball and you're going to the cage like that, are you thinking of what you want? How much thought goes into the move that you're going to pull off that you do? Like, are these pre-planned things that you've tried in practice, or are you just sort of going with the flow in the game? Because you've scored some pretty good-looking goals.
Yeah, no, I mean, by no means am I thinking about throwing the ball between my legs, my back turned. I mean, that's a pretty low percentage shot. And, it's on that one, it was just kind of more of an instinct and, absolute luck that it went in. But there was a couple of times in college where I would throw it between my legs and that, and there was, pretty much every time after I'd be doing sprints with the entire team watching me. So it's not things that I plan to do by any means. It's just kind of like I put myself in a position where it's just that's kind of all I got. And kind of just got to be creative and find a way to put the ball in the back of the net.
You mentioned your college ball in there. You played for Cornell and spent a lot of time in the face-off dot, and that was sort of your specialty in university. You learning any new tricks from Bobby Snyder, who's best in the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much learning new tricks or different things, but just sitting there watching Bobby face off is something special. I mean, the guy is just unbelievable. And, just seeing the different little things that he does, and, it's not, as I said, it's not tricks or he's not cheating. It's nothing special. It's just pure, talent and just hard work on his part. And just watching the little things he does, just the way he moves his hands when he gets tied up with a guy, or just the way he moves his feet when he, on that initial whistle. But, it's been great, working with Bobby. I think him and I have a pretty good relationship-wise as face-off guys and face-off X. We talk almost every time after he comes off the floor after a face-off. I kind of tell him what I see, and vice versa. If I get out there for a face-off, he kind of tells me, what happened and what I should do better. And in practice, we had some pretty good battles the night before, and it's been great so far. I'm pretty fortunate to be able to be behind a face-off guy like Bobby.
You're one of the handful of guys actually living in and around Everett. What's the lacrosse vibe like in the Pacific Northwest, in your opinion?
It's great. Ever since I've been out here, I've been coaching, and I've had the opportunity to meet pretty much almost every lacrosse player in Seattle, I feel like now. And it's getting there. It's growing. I talk to my coaches back east, or my old coaches at Cornell back east, I tell them, the talent level's high out here. And the kids will work hard. They're extremely respectful. I have pretty much the entire team shake my hand after every practice, which is great. You don't see that back east. And, I tip my hat to the kids and the parents of lacrosse players out here that they're kind of doing it the right way. And, but the game is growing out here, and it's going to get there. It's part of the reason, it's pretty much the only reason why I moved to Seattle, is to help grow the game in the Northwest. And I think if it keeps on the track that it's going now, it's going to be good. It's going to be good in the future. It's going to be a powerhouse. And I think as soon as some of these college teams move out to the West Coast, you're really going to see that progression shoot off.
Number 32 in your program is Mitch McMichael from the Washington Stealth is my guest right now. Mitch, you look like a hockey goalie with the number 32. Why did you choose those digits?
Well, my dad obviously played back in the day, and he was always number 23, and I figured if Grimes had 23, and I also wanted my own number, so I figured I'd just flip it backwards, and get the 32 in there, and it's done good so far. I had it in college, and I had a pretty good career there, and loved my time there, and my mom loves the number 32 on me, so just keep her happy. I'm happy. Everyone's good.
Nice.
But no, it originally stemmed from my father. He was number 23, and kind of just wanted my own number, so flipped around 32, and there it is.
Before we wrap this thing up, Mitch, 5 things you need to know about Mitch McMichael. I like to throw this towards all my interviews on the halftime show. So usually the same 5 questions. First one for Mitch McMichael of the Washington Stealth. What is your pregame meal?
Well, I have a pretty weird pregame meal. Right before the game, usually I don't eat. Pretty much I eat in the morning, and then during the day before the game, I'm not eating anything. And then in warm up, I eat 7 pieces of licorice.
No way.
Red licorice. I chew on it during warm-ups and eat it during warm-ups, so that's what I get before.
Okay, I think you've just gotten the award for strangest pregame meal. I spoke to Aaron Bold a couple weeks ago from The Rush, and his was butter curry chicken in Edmonton. I don't even know you could find butter curry chicken in Edmonton, but licorice in the warm-up, I think, takes the cake, Mitch.
Yeah, definitely.
Favorite thing to do at the gym?
I have no idea. I don't really have a favorite thing. I kind of try to touch on everything, but my least favorite is definitely jogging.
Okay.
I hate going for a run.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, least favorite thing. And a surprising high number of NLL players have said running, because I guess you guys obviously do so much of that as it is. Last piece of music you bought?
Mumford & Sons.
And we saw the video, and I think you've already mentioned this, but who is the best dancer on the Washington Stealth?
Best dancer has got to be Mac, for sure. That guy can move pretty good.
Mitch McMichael, my guest at the halftime show. Mitch, you're doing great things spreading the game around the Pacific Northwest, and young lacrosse players and old lacrosse players everywhere really appreciate you doing that. And I appreciate you stopping by the halftime show for tonight's game, and good luck the rest of the game tonight, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Mitch McMichael, rookie for the Washington Stealth. Back with more from Comcast Arena in Everett. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network. Welcome back inside Comcast Arena and Everett lacrosse fans. Brad Challoner and Ryan Powell riding shotgun tonight. Thoughts on the first, or what the Swarm need to do to climb back into this game for the second 30 minutes of this one?
Well, first of all, Callison, I thought, played a really good half. I know there's 7 tallies on the board for the Stealth, but he really did a good job and made a lot of big saves on point-blank shots. So he's got to step up and have another great half. He's got to get a little bit more support. We talked about this before the game, but that transition piece, it's non-existent for Minnesota right now. So they need to do something about that because it's a big part of their game. So they got to get that transition going and get a couple nice tranny goals so they can get back in this thing.
Only 3 goals in the first 30, no multi-goal scores for the Minnesota Swarm. Leading the pack in this game so far tonight, Brett Bucktooth has a goal and 3 assists. Reese Dutch has 3 assists. That means he's now 2 points away from 400 on his career. And Ethan Iannucci had a hat trick, a natural hat trick in the first 30 as we look towards the second 30. Sibling rivalry in the building tonight. Brock Sorensen against his brother Kyle, the captain of the Washington Stealth. What was it like playing against your brothers in the NLL?
Oh, it was a lot of fun playing against Casey, you definitely get a little bit more fired up for those games. It's just like competing out in the backyard when we were kids, you want to go out there and have your team be successful, so it brings a little added excitement to the game, but it's always been a lot of fun. And because of the NLL, you're out there on your offensive shifts. We don't necessarily go right against one another, so it's nice to be able to watch him at one end, and then he could do the same with me down at the other end.
Battle for a loose ball in the Stealth end, and Jeff Molesky, who opened the scoring for Washington, will ring the ball. He took that bullet of a shot from Ryan Benesh in the side of his helmet, but Mo's back. He can't keep a man down from Prince George, BC. 13 hours north of the border. As the Stealth chase down a loose ball, McMichael will throw one down to the offensive zone, but it's picked off, and the Swarm will try to set up on outshooting the Stealth, our Minnesota, 27-25. They're getting their looks. They just haven't been of quality quite yet. As Callum Crawford hits Jay Cardin's the offensive zone, dishes far side to Benesh. Now Crawford gets across, but Richards beats him to the corner.
That was a nice dish right there by Banesh. He's got to get going a little bit out there, too. He's very important, obviously, leading point getter for the Swarm. He's got to get going and get some more quality shots off. Doing a good job being a quarterback there on that play and made a nice look down low. Just couldn't convert, but I'd like to see him get to the net a little bit and take a couple more shots here. Henry
to Corbin Teo. Ball's inside for Banesh. Bounces one wide. And a bouncing ball is picked off by Washington. Here comes Justin Salt. Scored the game winner last week against Calgary. The 15th goal of that 16-14 win. And the Stealth will slow things down. Putting on the brakes, Mitch McMichael to Ratcliffe, who we mentioned was his roommate when he first moved to Washington. Now McMichael will chase down a loose ball, picks it up, heads towards the goal. McMichael rolls one. Carlson got a piece of it. It's over to Dutch on the far side. Back to McMichael, rings one up the crossbar and almost right back into his stick, but it came fast and it's picked off by Minnesota in transition. Earl behind the back, well wide. And Belial will try to chase that one down. And Sorensen can't keep it onside, or Haas rather can't keep it onside. So the Stealth will get another chance to set up on O.
I always felt like those shots right there, just pull it out and get a good quality look. As a defenseman, you feel for them. You work a full shot clock for 30 seconds, bust your tail out there to shut down the Stealth from getting a good shot, and then transition goes the other way and you fling one around your back that didn't even come close. Pull the ball out, get it to your goal scorers, and let the offense get some flow and get a nice shot.
He had it up the floor in a hurry enough, too, that even if he did curl around, they still would have had numbers coming back up the floor. So next time for Earl as Jackson moves his way into the O-zone. McIntosh rolls one across the carpet and makes it 7-4.
Nice, hard, underhand, low-to-low rip right there to the bottom corner. Not much that any goaltender can do about that one. Snug that right in tight to the left bar.
11 on the season for the sophomore McIntosh, coming off Transition Player of the Week honors. Scored 3 against Edmonton last week, and now a big bump. Snyder's hammered off the draw by Earl.
Maybe that's what it's going to take right there, a big hit each time on the face-off in order for Minnesota to get the ball. Sorensen certainly winning the draws very clean right now.
Now Crawford to the middle, caught in the corner. So he hits Banesh at the top of the zone. Over to McIntosh, the goal scorer. Around his man, McIntosh bounces one wide, and it's out of play. Stealth back up the floor. Matt Beers with a head of steam. Wants to hand off to McMichael, but a defender slides over. And now Ratcliffe thinks he has a lane. Pick set. Ratcliffe hits the trailer. It's Dutch. Dutch one-on-one against Gilbert. Takes him down to the cage and stuffs one in. He recognized the matchup. He took it with a full head of steam, and the Stealth make it 8-4.
That's just good awareness there by Dutch getting underneath. Iannucci's had the hot hand. His defenseman stayed way out on the boards against him. He should have been sloughed off and been a help guy there. You can't worry about a guy that's up against the boards. Gave Dutch way too much room to get underneath there, and he's going to score a high percentage of times when he's one-on-one with goaltenders.
Swarm swarming, trying to answer back. Dutch's 399th point of the career. 1 goal and 3 assists tonight. Now Jay Card lets one rip, hit a stick on the way through, took an awkward bounce but didn't find net. And now it bounces out of play. They're going to stay off a Minnesota stick, so the Stealth will get it. 10:25 to go, third quarter. Now Cliff Smith drops a hand and bodies his way into the O-zone. Double team comes over, so he hits the trailer. Now here's Buckdu, step shot, and Carlson turned it aside. Haas is there for the rebound, and he'll look up the floor.
Another good save there by Carlson, point blank, Bucktooth.
Joel Henry, the lefty, tries to body his way to the zone. To Matisse, in too deep, so Matisse will retreat. Look for help on the far side. It's Banesh. Around a screen, around a man, inside falling, and a big save by Richards.
Nice little hesitation and go move there by Banesh. Got a nice shot, got tripped up a little bit at the end. I'm sure he would have liked to get a little bit more on that.
Looks
But,
like, yeah,
that's really, I think that it's super important that he starts doing more of that. He's got to get by his guy and generate things for this team.
he can. He has the ability. 45 points coming into this game. Led the league in scoring just a couple of years ago. We know he can bury. In a big offensive zone, loose ball. Iannucci winds up. And another big save by Carlson.
Didn't quite do what he wanted to do with that one. Hit Carlson right in the middle of the tummy there, and we got it going the other way. Iannucci's certainly had the hot hand. He's put up the hat trick in the first half, and looking for number 4 there. Just didn't get it up to the corner, which I'm sure he would have liked to do.
Pace is picked up here in the third quarter as Minnesota has some jump to their step. Grimes strips McIntosh and chases a loose ball down.
Grimes does a great job. He's a solid defenseman. I've had a lot of respect for him over the years. Played against him, tough physical guy, just a workhorse. And he's been quietly having a very solid game there for the Stealth, number 23, Grimes.
Little things, 47 loosies on the year, 6 forced turnovers, and you got a couple of guys in the roster that can do that, and you're sitting pretty. Now Ratcliffe tries to get around. Earl rolls one towards the net. Carlson stops it again. And now a breakout pass for Gilbert. Does he have a breakaway? Jeff Gilbert all alone buries. Top shelf, stick from shoulder. No fakes, no nothing on that defenseman. Just a clean shot top left, and it's 8-5.
There is the transition that we have been waiting for out of Minnesota. Let's see if that gets their team going a little bit. A team that's good in that department, when they finally click and get a little something in return for all the runouts that they've had, they finally put one by Richards. That's a big goal. Bring it 8-5.
First goal of the season for Jeff Gilbert. The 6th-year vet, Champions Cup winner in Toronto. Now the Swarm within 3 with the ball on offense. Callum Crawford looks far side to Benesh. Pass down deep for McIntosh, and he dropped it. Now the loose ball. It's picked up by Cliff Smith, and he'll look up the floor.
McIntosh really got to catch that ball, He's got a wide open look there on the backside. He catches that ball, he's going to produce a great shot, and it was a really nice look by Benesh.
Now he's ahead of the defense as the Swarm bring it in. McIntosh picks up a rebound there, steps inside, falling, chucks it back to Shane Jackson. He dishes over to Corbin Teo. Delayed penalty coming up as Carlson heads to the bench. Extra attackers on. It's Ryan Benesh. Now they'll slow things down and try to set up a play here.
Plenty of time on the shot clock here to do something with it. Let's see if they can get the results here. About 10 seconds left on the shot clock.
Watt changes. On comes Joel Henry, the trailer. Ball hit ahead on the way through. Now McIntosh has it with 5 on the clock. Matisse winding up, running out of time. McIntosh, and Richards got over for the save. But now the Swarm will settle down and set up on the power play, only down by 3 and a chance to climb back in at 8-5, 7:03 to go, third quarter. From Comcast Arena in Everett, you're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
Check out the video board for
tonight's game is brought to you in part by Reebok. Redefine your game with Reebok's new Black line. Reebok Black was designed and engineered for the elite lacrosse player. Reebok's Black line features a lightweight, minimalistic design with carbon light technology. Performance-driven, technology-driven, NLL proven. Find all the new Reebok lacrosse gear online at ReebokBlack.com. We can pick your brain now that Ryan Powell's up here. What kind of stick did you play with in the NLL?
Well, I'm not really sure what it was, to be honest with you. Equipment manager handed me one. pocket in it was really good, and I liked it. So it really comes down to the pocket. I don't think the head makes a ton of difference out there. You're looking for a good shaft, and you're looking for a good pocket that throws the ball well.
What kind of shooting string did you have in there?
I had 4 shooters up top, straight across. Pretty easy, nice little bag on it though.
Richards turns one into the corner. Ryan Benesh will chase out a loose ball. Matisse swats it back to Crawford, and a fresh clock for the Swarm power play.
We saw a power play earlier on by Minnesota where Callum stepped in and had a nice shot off the crossbar. I'd like to see him do that again here.
Crawford's behind the net now, circles back around, jump shot, and Richards the shoulder save. Crawford is the shooter though, and he got one off. Now Grimes tries to get it across the floor. Molesky's met with a bump, but lumbers it across the line. Will try to kill some time off the clock. 53 seconds left in the penalty. To Kyle Sorensen. Now Iannucci goes for a lap of the zone. Circles the net. Gilbert runs him into the wall. Now Iannucci looking for help. Falls inside for Dutch, but it falls into the crease. He gets a shot off, and it ends up in the corner.
Great defense right there by Gilbert. Iannucci was trying to create a little bit of something there behind the cage, and Gilbert shut that down. Nice solid D there by number 4.
Well, one more shot for this power, 20 seconds. McIntosh, Crawford again the shooter, motion starts, hits the cycle to Benesh, to Jackson. To a shot high and wide, Jackson the rebound, over to Matisse, bounces one off the post, and all the way down the floor. They're getting their shots, but they can't beat Tyler Richards yet. Back to even strength as the captain Sorensen comes back on. Matisse around a pick, behind the back pass is knocked down by Molesky. Loose ball, squirts out to Sorensen, here come the stealth. Under 5 to go, third quarter. Dean Hill to Ratcliffe. Pick set by Hill, dishes far side to Iannucci, pass down behind the net. Cliff Smith is caught back there, being bodied by Haas. Smith cuts back one way, now he goes for a lap. Pass out front to Ratcliffe, shot clock winding down, he rings one off the crossbar, or off the post rather, and all the way out the other side. Now Dutch is there for the Lucy. Does he know he has a fresh clock? Hill's inside, big save by Carlson.
What a nice play there by Dutch. Nice little spin move, and kept his head up the whole time. You know, that's super important, obviously, being out here playing at this level, playing at any level, rather. When you have the ball in your stick, always be aware of what's going on and keep your head up. Reese did a great job there, found Dean Hill. Dean just couldn't put it in the back of the net.
Hill goes back to Dutch. Ratcliffe tries a shot 5-hole. Carlson got the paddle over. Loose ball is in the corner, and big Brock Sorensen, the rookie, is there to pick it up. We talked in the pregame shows about rookies being so ready to come into the NLL. Brock Sorensen, sort of the epitome of that. A lacrosse veteran by the time he made this league. Minto Cups, World Championships, college ball. Jay Card, another college guy, Hofstra University. Benesh lobs one towards the net, and Molesky took a bump from Card looking for a penalty. And LeBranch isn't calling one. Here comes the stealth in transition. O'Doherty fires, and Carlson made the stop. He looks up the floor. And I think Carlson's used to having players deeper down the floor at this time. The transition just not taking off yet tonight for Minnesota. Carlson's looking up, but nothing's there for him.
One thing that I've noticed that Minnesota's doing a much better job of, that's a great goal right there.
Crawford
nice look by 21 Benesh to Crawford. But they're doing a great job, and right on cue, what I was going to say, in the first half, they weren't cycling the ball and getting it from one side of the floor to the other. They're really focused in on that here in the second half. They're doing a lot better job, and it's generating a lot more offense for their team.
Crawford gets the Swarm within 2, his 9th goal of the season. Wearing the C in place of Anders Suter. And the stealth. Beers has some trouble at center. The Swarm have numbers up the floor. Nick Billick has speed. Gets the ball far side. Sean Richards the save.
Awesome effort right there by Gillick. Diving. Checking the ball away. Getting his team another opportunity there. Unfortunately, that run out didn't pay off for him.
Dutch tries to get around Earl. Hits the trailer. It's Iannucci. Being watched by Belial, far side to Ratcliffe. Pick set for Hill, he's rolling towards the net. Ratcliffe didn't see the pass. Now to Dutch, to Hill inside. Rebound, Carlson steps out of his crease to get the ball. And the Swarm will head back the other way. Ryan Benesh again. Into the corner for Matisse. Shane Jackson. Every body right now for the Minnesota Swarm on that right side of the floor. Now they spread it out a little bit. Tries to body his way towards net, gets a toe in the crease. And the Swarm have to turn it over to Washington. Down by just 2 with a minute 45 to go, third quarter from Comcast Arena. It's the Stealth and the Swarm on the Lacrosse Network.
Stealth Heartbreaker.
Of the National Lacrosse League. You can listen to NLL Radio on your smartphone. Just download the popular TuneIn Radio app. That's TuneIn, and find every show anytime on your phone. For more information, visit nll.com/radio. Brad Schellner and Ryan Powell high above the rafters in Comcast Arena. And the pressure's on now as we found out that the Edmonton Rush and Derek Keenan are watching this game closely.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Coach. Spending his Sunday watching the little lacrosse out in Toronto.
Wanting to know if the Washington Stealth will climb the standings a little bit and create some space at the top of the West, or the Swarm want to make things interesting and create a real tight battle with Calgary, Edmonton, and Washington for that top spot. Who wants it? Ratcliffe and the Stealth on offense. Ratcliffe storms the crease, bounce shot around his feet, and that one ended up out of play. They're going to say just off of his shot, so the Swarm will get the ball.
Here we go. After that break, let's see if Minnesota can keep this energy going on the offensive end. They're starting to click a little bit more, producing more high-quality shots. With every goal and every good shot comes a little bit more confidence, and they certainly be playing with a little bit more swagger than they were in the first half of this game.
Benesh takes a nice shot. He tries to force a turnover here too. Hodgson tries to body his way out of the zone. Gets it to Garrison at center, and the Stealth have numbers up the floor. Jason Garrison, the trailer's Hill. But Ball did a great job of getting back and breaking up that play.
That's just all effort right there. You know, you're coming off the bench and you're full throttle right away just to deflect that stick.
Talk about full throttle. Ethan Iannucci lets one rip.
Number 4 on the game. He's had the hot hand, no doubt about it, for the Washington Stealth. I like what he's doing with and without the ball tonight. Obviously the 4 goals, but just watching him and the way that he's moving out there on the offensive end, he's creating a lot, making good passes, setting good picks, all around great game so far by him.
McIntosh tries to answer back, fires one, a hand save by Richards, the glove save. And he looks for Sorensen up the floor. 2 4-goal games in a row for Ethan Iannucci as he joins the league's elite at 20, the 7th player this year to hit the 20-goal plateau.
He's always been a great goal scorer. The guy knows how to bury the ball. He knows how to put it away.
Winds up again to hit Billick on the way through. Billick will shake that one off. Lucy as Iannucci's punished by Watt. Loose ball squirts out to Reese Dutch. Shot clock winding down. Dutch will let one rip. And Carlson will go for a little jog up the floor. 4.5 seconds left. He'll throw it into the corner for Matisse. And just play some catch with Tyler Richards. Clock winding down. Richards looks at the net. Carlson sort of shakes his head as Richards looks up the floor. He's got some new mesh in his stick. And a new black head on the twig as well. But a 3-goal lacrosse game into the fourth and final quarter. We all know in this sport that that's a real nothing deficit. And we'll come back and break down the fourth and final frame from Comcast. Brad Shellen and Ryan Powell. You're watching the Lacrosse Network on NLL.com.
Matt Beers was clocked to 89 miles an hour with his shot. If any of these gentlemen go faster than 89 miles an hour, free stealth tickets for life, which isn't too bad. The record so far is 75 miles an hour set last game. We're going to bring everybody back that gets the fastest shot to the final game of the season and have a little shoot off. Let's start with John. You ready, John? Let's have it. .41 miles an hour. Up next is Derek. Let's see what you got, Derek. Go ahead. Let's go. .52 for Derek. William, you're up next. Let her rip. Ooh, Shuchi scores. 64 for William. Round 2, John, you're up. Here we go. Ooh. 46 for John. Derek, let's see what you got. .41. And William, this one's just for glory here. Woo! 60 miles an hour. Our winner is William. Big round of applause. He gets a Coors Light prize pack, and he'll be back at the final game of the season for a shootout.
I don't think they know that Ryan Powell's in the building. You could go down there. What's your best rip? Have you ever been clocked?
I actually don't shoot the ball all that hard, and I'm probably like low 90s. I've always kind of focused on accuracy. It's certainly very important in this game, but also field lacrosse. I've always tried to work myself in tight, take shots that way. So it's definitely more about accuracy than it is about speed for me. But there are some guys, including number 83 for the stealth, the Nooch, that can certainly bring it.
I think Rabel and Hartzell are both up around 106, 108 right now. Pretty insane numbers. Fourth and final frame. In the fourth period, or the fourth quarter rather, the Swarm have scored Matisse into the offensive zone. Banesh tries a shot. Richards turns that one aside. Rebounds into the corner for Jeff Molesky. Behind the back pass to Grimes, and the Stealth come back up the floor the other way. They change in a hurry. Grimes takes a shot right into the chest of Carlson with lots of time on the clock. Now the Swarm back the other way with numbers. Matisse Down in the crease to Jackson, and the pass is knocked down by Molesky. He's had himself a pretty good night. The Ryan Benesh shot to the ear and all. Now Hodgson picks up a loose ball in the defensive end. They still come up. Iannucci breaks the head of the play. He tries to get a pass, but he can't bring it down. He was thinking shot before he had that ball in his stick. Now Benesh and the Swarm try to answer back. Still out shooting the Stealth. Our Minnesota 42-40. Crawford looking for a pass as Shane Jackson tries to crease dive, and Richards got a shoulder pad over. Now a loose ball picked up by Salt, but he's jumped by Teo. In some trouble clearing the zone.
Both teams have done a really good job tonight. I've been impressed with clearing the zone. Exactly what you just said, Brad. Picking up loosies and getting it into the offensive end. I think both teams have done a really good job with that.
Ratcliffe hands off to McMichael, or does he? No, Ratcliffe still has the rock. Now to McMichael, to Iannucci. Looking for a lane. To Ratcliffe. Inside to Reese Dutch. A lot of screen room. Takes a shot. Rebound kicked over to Ratcliffe. Circles around. And Garrison goes off for a change, and now the offense comes out with a fresh clock.
Getting second possessions is a very important thing here. So obviously the defense has been out there for a good shift of 30 seconds, and then to play another 30. Maybe this is a third opportunity right here.
Iannucci loses his stick and then plays hacky sack with the ball. It kicks it down the floor, and the Swarm are in pursuit. McIntosh winds up, doesn't fire, hits Joel Henry. He has a lane. Henry inside, but he lost the ball and couldn't get a shot off. Now Billick runs the ball to safety, hands off to Benesh, and the offense goes to work. 12 minutes to go. Henry behind the back, shot by Benesh, or Card rather. Richards got a piece of it. And now Grimes will slow the play down. Been a bit frantic here. Ahead of the play is Cliff Smith against Crawford. Switches hands and passes to Lewis Ratcliffe over to Dean Hill. Ratcliffe sets the pick. Iannucci. Back over to Lewis. Takes an overhand shot. Kick save. Gets his own rebound inside. Bouncer! It went behind the net. And only Downing saw it. He found the Lucy and heads back the other way. Great speed here by the Minnesota.
Lewis gets a lot of shots off in the course of the game.
So does Callum Crawford as he bounces one past Richards. The captain, the newly anointed captain, taking matters into his own hands, and he puts the Swarm back within 3.
Hey, there's no secret watching this game right now. If Minnesota's going to be successful in making a comeback and making a game of this thing tonight, it's going to rely on Crawford, and it's going to rely on number 21, Benesh. Those two guys need to keep flowing and keep going here.
Procedure on the draw. Snyder has to hand the ball over to McIntosh and company, and the Swarm make their way up the floor. McIntosh looking for a lane on Pitchell, runs it behind the net, looking for passers. Matisse takes a shot. Rebound! Shane Jackson dunks it behind Richards. And the Swarm pull within 2.
Another Lucy right there in front of the crease. That was a very impressive shot. Good hands, good stick skills right there. Scoops that ground ball, the Lucy up right in front, does a little twister shot to the top right corner. Very nice goal.
13th of the season for the rookie. Former Whitby Junior Warrior. Played under Derek Keenan in Whitby. And won a Minto Cup there in 2011. 2-goal deficit. Lots of lacrosse left to go. Into the zone is Benesh. Bodied by Garrison, beats him towards the cage, falls down, spins, shoots, and Richards able to make a stop. Back up the floor come Washington. Not a safe lead right now. They want to add to it. McMichael puts on the brakes. Hill's right through the middle of the floor. Dean Hill. And Haas is able to take the shot away from Hill, and the Swarm look up the other way. Here's another.
Benesh, very slow coming off the floor that last time there. He's arguing with the referee, and it created a wide open opportunity there for Dean Hill. Lucky for Benesh, one of his teammates there got a stick in the lane and knocked the ball down.
Crawford against Salt. Winds up, fires wide. Rebound. Picked up by Benesh. Fires one. Goes low to high, and Richards makes an elbow save. Looking up the floor, here comes the captain, Sorensen. Slowing play down, but 8 seconds is ticking away, so he has to hurry a little bit. Hands off to Smith, and the offense goes to work again. Spreading out the floor for Ratcliffe, one-on-one with Sorensen right now. Looking for cutters. Dutch squirts free. Being watched by Watt. Pick set. Dutch takes it. Looking for help far side. Over to Smith. Tries a sub shot, but is blocked by the sneaker of Sorensen. He looks up the floor. Bodies flying everywhere now as the Swarm bring it across the line. Watt has to go for a change. Now Henry. To Benesh. To Crawford. In deep for Card, being watched by Pitchell. Dangles around him, cuts towards the goal, chucks one towards the net, and Richards the stop. Rebound picked up by Henry. Swarm have a new clock in the offensive zone, and Crawford now directing the play. There's a man in the crease. Card tangled up with Richards. Delayed penalty coming up to Washington. I believe it'll be against T. Rich for tangling with Card in the crease. 6-on-5 Minnesota line up. Here comes the motion. Crawford to Benesh. Trying to spin around Garrison. Back to Crawford. Down deep to Card. Bounce shot wide. Rebound. Picked up by Benesh. Sub shot to the other side is out of play. And now the penalty will be called. We'll sort this thing out. Richards took a 5 last game, Ryan. Had to serve his own penalty. And I think he might get 2 here.
Well, I think that was completely unnecessary for him to retaliate like that. The guy didn't really get near his knees or anything. He made a nice aggressive play to the front of the crease, but T. Rich gave him one right in the back of the head. And, hey, in a 10-8 ball game, you've got to play with discipline. And that was not a very disciplined play. Now all of a sudden you're looking at 8:57 left in the game, down 2, and one guy's going off, and you're creating a power play and a great scoring opportunity for the Swarm to inch a step closer.
So Tyler Richards keeps climbing the penalty minute chart, looking at 7 in his last couple of games. We'll take a break. 8:57 to go. 2-goal lacrosse game from Comcast Arena. Brad Challoner and Ryan Powell with you. Do not go anywhere. Photo finish here this afternoon.
Harlem Shake video. When the time after the game is over, come on over here to the icebox side, and ushers will take you down to the turf, and we're gonna have a darn good time dancing our buns off out on the turf. Back to you, Tom.
It's a 2-game road trip for the Washington Stealth. They head to Philadelphia next week and then to Minnesota. Don't come back home after a bye week until March 30th when the Calgary Roughnecks come back into town. Tickets for that one on sale at stealthlax.com. 7 p.m. game time right here on a Saturday night in Everett. That's stealthlax.com for tickets. 2-goal lacrosse game. Not enough of a lead to play it safe now. You still have to go to the cage.
Yeah, I've mentioned it a couple times tonight. On this power play, I'd love to see Callum step in there. He's got a great lane. He can get in pretty tight and take a nice outside shot. Like right there, I feel like he could have shot that ball. And he's got a nice, hard, accurate shot, so I'd like to see him utilize that.
Benesh, far side. There's a shot stopped by Richards. Rebounds behind the net, and it squirts out to Benesh, and the Swarm will get it again in a fresh clock. Benesh playing quarterback at the top of the offensive zone here on the power play to Shane Jackson. Benesh, Matisse, and Jordan McIntosh creating some havoc on that far side. Ball's inside, knocked down by Sorensen. He looks up the floor. Now Reese Dutch will try to kill some time off the clock for Washington. 1 minute left in the penalty to Tyler Richards, being served by the in-home Justin Pitchell.
So Washington here will take this as deep in the shot clock as they possibly can, and then try to get to the cage, try to get a reset on the shot clock, or draw some sort of a penalty if they can.
Iannucci with the shot clock winding down, throws one into the corner, and the Swarm again will try to set up 50 seconds in the power play. Beers, Hodgson, Sorensen, and Grimes, the penalty killing unit for Washington. As they're barking at the hidden ball trick, Benesh has it now. Over to Shane Jackson. 3 lefties this time as Joel Henry comes out on the power play. Now Benesh is the shooter with Crawford to the side. Now loose ball is picked up by Hodgson. 2-on-1 if the Stealth hurry. Beers is ahead of the play. And Hodgson, the veteran, puts on the brakes, curls back around, hands off to Grimes. 7:12 to go. 10 seconds left in the penalty to Tyler Richards. That goon, that T-Rich. 7 minutes the last 2 weeks. Loose ball. Stealth doing a good job killing some time off the clock. And now McMichael comes on the floor. Now it's 5-on-5. Shane Jackson in the offensive zone looking for help. Garrison watching him. Waits for help off the bench as Jay Card, the trailer. Over to Matisse. Big pick set. Matisse comes around. It's Joel Henry. He fires short side. Richards the save. And looks up the floor for a breakout
Several
pass.
times tonight. I mean, that's just not good high-quality shots. You're not at a good angle. The goaltenders take up a lot of the cage. You got to get the shots from in front of the cage. You're higher scoring percentage if you're able to do that.
Dean Hill to Iannucci. Bouncer. As Carlson flexes the chest. And the loose ball's behind the net. Iannucci's there. A couple black jerseys. And a few white ones as well. Bodies flying everywhere. Iannucci has the ball and comes out with it. The crowd makes a little noise. Iannucci still with it. Far side to Bucktooth. On the far wall for Lewis Ratcliffe. Picked up by Hill. Top of the zone to Bucktooth. Steps in. Switches spots with Dutch. Bucktooth charges the crease. Tries to tuck it in 5-hole. And even if it would have been good, his toe was in the crease. LeBranch says, no, you don't.
Tried to get on the low side there. Just didn't have enough room to get top of the crease and get a nice shot off.
5.5 to go. Tyler Haas, scoop pass back to Crawford, lets one rip. It's high and wide. Crawford does a great job to grab his own Lucy off the wall. And now the Swarm fumble the pass. Beers tries to kick it out. Vinesh is there. He brings in the ball with 8 seconds on the shot clock. Now kicks 3 again. Teo tries to pick it up. Gets back to Haas with the shot clock winding down and a good scrum, but too much time wasted for Minnesota.
Yeah, spent most of that possession with the ball on the ground, just a little bit sloppy. Getting here at the 5-minute mark, remaining in the game, got to capitalize on every opportunity that you have and produce good quality shots. They're not all going to go in, but you got to start getting shots off on every single offensive possession.
McMichael, the Dutch, swims around his man. Dutch is inside, back to Bucktooth. Winds up, shoots, and scores! Beautiful shot by Brett Bucktooth on the give and go with number 10, and it's 11-8.
Reese did a good job there creating for Bucktooth. Put him up, gave him the ball in a successful spot to shoot the ball. Bucktooth had a nice accurate shot right there, quick release. Nice goal, a big goal, 4:44 left in the fourth quarter. Now the Stealth up 3, so that's a big momentum killer. Big goal for the Stealth.
When your secondary goal scorers are putting up numbers like Brett Bucktooth, your team's in a pretty good position. Syracuse alum, Brett Bucktooth. It's a Swarm go to work. Benesh in deep, looking for help. To Crawford, winds up, passes again to Benesh, give and go to McIntosh. Ball ends up behind the net. McIntosh is chucked aside by Hostrauser from Orangeville. Crawford winds up, fires. Richards stucks that one in his pants somewhere. 4:02 to go, 3-goal lead for Washington. You're watching the National Lacrosse League on the Lacrosse Network.
63. Give yourselves a hand. Thanks for supporting your Washington Stealth. Let's go to Magic Mike.
Does anybody here like...
Did you miss any of Reese Dutch's 10 points last week? Don't sweat it. Visit the Lacrosse Network online to see the top 10 plays from last weekend's action. You can also watch full replays of every game played this season. It's all right there anytime you want. Just visit youtube.com/the Lacrosse Network. Reese Dutch has 6 tonight, 1 goal, 5 assists. He has surpassed the 400-point mark here in his 5th season in the NLL.
That's pretty impressive right there. He's a great player. He's got a quiet 6 points tonight. I was just telling you there at the break, I felt like he's been a little bit quiet, and then you told me the numbers that he has. He's definitely set up and created a few things for guys, but Iannucci's been playing strong. Bucktooth has been great. Awesome save right there by Richards.
Timely save, 3:24 to go, 3-goal lead for the Stealth. Brad Challoner and Ryan Powell with you from Comcast Arena for the next 3 minutes of lacrosse time. And the Stealth will want to slow the play down now and use every 30-second shot clock they have. Ratcliffe picks set by McMichael. He goes back to Iannucci, tries to pass inside for Smith. It's knocked down. But Ratcliffe strips Billick, and the Stealth get the ball back in offensive zone. Lucy. And Ratcliffe will chuck it. Oh no, now he gives it away to Ball. And the Swarm with numbers head up the floor. Crawford, Carlson to the bench, extra attacker this shift.
Getting to be in that time right now that you got to get a nice shot and a goal here for Minnesota.
Henry hustles back. T. Rich hits Sorensen at center. The Stealth will slow it down. Sorensen wants everybody up the floor. Come change, he says. Hits McMichael, then he's bodied hard by Haas. McMichael over to Dutch. Dutch barking out orders. The General hits Iannucci. Good matchup here. Iannucci bodies the way to the net. There's an air shot all the way to the side. McMichael tries to keep it onside. Can't do it. The Stealth are over and back. And now Crawford in a hurry to bring it up the floor. No time wasted. Carlson to the bench again every time. Henry again to the trailer from the Cochrane, Alberta. Benesh, ball's inside for Matisse. Deke shoots, and it's over top of the net out the other side.
Early on in that position, when Crawford had the ball over there, I thought that was a great time to go to the cage. He waited for all 5 guys to come out there. I mean, you run clear plays in this league for guys like that to get everybody on one side of the floor. You know, that's an awesome opportunity to go to the cage. I think he should have took that ball one-on-one and tried to create something.
Ratcliffe passes back to Iannucci, who's in some trouble chasing on a loose ball near his own bench. Now it's picked up by the Swarm. Up the floor in a hurry is Earl. It's Haas, the trailer. And a pass is picked off, and Richards looks up the floor to Grimes and company, and the Stealth will want to use the 30 here.
Before the game started, I talked about stick work and stick skills quite a bit. I haven't seen so many passes that have been knocked down. Just guys being a little bit careless with the ball and not completing great passes. I mean, and that's a big part of the game. So obviously it would have generated a lot more shots and opportunities if you're connecting on those passes.
60 seconds to go. Dutch fires one low. Carlson the stop rebound. As the Swarm fumbling to pick up a loose ball in their own zone. Now they do. Belisle across center. Gets it down low to Ryan Benesh. One-on-one against Molesky. Hits the trailer. It's big Matisse. Matisse brings it across. Hits Crawford. Crowd is on their feet here in Everett. Crawford to the pass over top of Shane Jackson's head, and the Stealth will run it to safety. Garrison across the line. 30 seconds to go. Does the rookie want the open net? He's chucked down to the ground, and a penalty coming up here. Nick Billick showing some frustration on the rookie Garrison, who takes him for a ride. The Stealth will just have a power play possession and rag the ball for 20 seconds and call it a night.
Pretty much desperation mode right there, trying to do whatever you can to try to get the ball back, give your team one more opportunity, but a little bit too late at this point in the game.
Now, who do you have on the floor at this time? Do you think Minnesota might want to try something? Are you putting your big guns out, or are you just putting out a couple guys who can rag?
Yeah, I think that you're just, you're sticking with your 4 man down guys, and just going to be stretched a little bit. Like I said, it's a little too late right now to do anything.
Just playing some long pass in the corners, and the Stealth will rag this clock away and run it to their 4th victory on home floor as they jump out to a clean 6-5 record at the very top of the West Division. Minnesota falls to 3-6 on the season. 11-8 your final.
Man, this is a nice arena. This, obviously, I've been here and played here quite a few times, but my first time being a spectator in this arena. It's a very nice place to watch a game, and they do a lot of stuff with the fan interaction here. I like that. And it's a nice crowd here today, and it's been very loud. So it's been a cool experience and great to be a part of it.
Yeah, they fit about 8,000 in here. We'd like to see it full on most nights, but it unfortunately doesn't come close a lot of the time. But you're right, with the intimate setting, even when there's not a lot of people here, it sure sounds like it. And the atmosphere here, they're pretty rabid fans. And, you stay at the hotels in town and all the staff are wearing their Stealth jerseys, and you head around town and people are talking lacrosse up here, which is really nice to see. But an 11-8 victory, the Stealth over top of the Minnesota Swarm. They stymied the transition. They fired a lot of shots toward Ty Carlson, and it was just a case of the offense for the Washington Stealth clicking tonight. And again, Minnesota not being able to really get on any runs and looking not confused up top, but just not getting on any rolls.
Yeah, I think, again, when I heard Tyler Richard speak this week on the NLL call, he talked about executing the game plan. I thought Washington did that. They obviously focused on stopping Minnesota in the transition game, and they did a very good job in that respect. I only remember one transition goal out of Minnesota, and then, I mentioned the word flow quite a bit tonight. I think it's important, an important word when you're talking about offenses in the National Lacrosse League. And, Minnesota, like you talked about, they didn't really string, 2-3 goals together at once. It was kind of one here, and Washington would go score one or two. I think moving forward, that's going to be important for them to become more successful, is to get a little bit more consistency on the offensive end, create better shots from in tighter in the middle of the field.
Let's go downstairs for Reese Dutch, our player of the game.
Going forward now, like we said, first place is ours right now. Going forward, what's the mindset to kind of keep that going? You guys are going on the road for a little bit before coming back home. What's the mindset to keep this momentum going?
You know what? The last couple of years, we've had a history of getting a little complacent after a win or two, and I think our mindset is just to keep that intensity, keep the focus that we've been successful with, because if you get away from it, we're not going to be successful anymore. So I think it's just sticking to what we're doing right.
Stay hungry, buddy. Reese Dutch, ladies and gentlemen.
Surpasses 400 career points in just his 5th season. Reese Dutch with a goal and 5 helpers tonight. A 6-point night to follow up a 10-point night here last week. And we're only nine weeks into the season. There's a lot of lacrosse left to go, Ryan. But Reese Dutch, some people are talking that could be an MVP season for number 10.
Yeah, he's looking very impressive out there. And like I said, being able to put up 6 points and have them be quiet ones speaks to the type of player that he really is, and the amount of touches and how the offense really goes through him. He's getting touches every single time down, but he does a good job. His individual one-on-one game is strong. He had a couple nice swim moves, but like I mentioned before, I think he's very good at keeping his head up and seeing the entire field all the time when the ball's in a stick. And when you can do that as a lacrosse player, you can be successful. Super important to be able to know what the defense is doing, see what the defense is doing in terms of their slide packages, and then obviously seeing off-ball cutters and those types of situations. You can be successful, and that's what the great players are able to do.
Ratcliffe with 1 and 2 tonight. Ethan Iannucci, 4 goals. He was the sort of highlight reel guy who was the flashy one, getting all the goals that we were talking about, and a couple of quiet assists behind that. Reese Dutch, of course, 1 goal, 5 assists. But when it's sign for me of a team that's clicking and a successful lacrosse team is when you're getting help from your secondary guys. And Brett Bucktooth had 3 goals and 3 assists tonight. Talk about his game.
Yeah, that was huge. He's got a great stick, like you talked about, putting some time out there on the top of the power play. But just very nice goals and doing a little bit of everything. And I think that's what Brett has always done out there on the lacrosse field. He brings a lot of different abilities to his game and to the Stealth team, and helps them become successful. So you're right on, Brad. I mean, when you can have a guy like that go 3 and 3, that's a huge difference maker.
Minnesota Swarm, did it look like a team that was missing their captain, their heart and soul tonight? How much of a boost would they have had if Andrew Suter was suited up?
I do think that played a major role in the game tonight. That's the type of player that Andrew is, and it looked like, it took a while for Minnesota to kind of get that energy and get going a little bit. It's not the same when you're, switching the C on someone's jersey, and somebody that's been really vocal in the locker room, that's wearing a jersey. He might have still been in the locker room. You say that he made the trip, but it's not the same coming from a guy that's in a suit than it is from a guy that's going to go out there, be on the floor with you, and do battle. So. And it was a sluggish first quarter, sluggish first half for them. I thought they got clicking and going a little bit in the third, but just couldn't catch up with a good quality stealth team that's finding their mojo at this point in time.
A lot of good stats from Minnesota tonight on paper. They outshot the Stealth 51-47. They out-loose-balled the Stealth 65-56. And Jordan McIntosh beat Bobby Snyder in the faceoff circle tonight. He won. Where's the number here? I just had it. He won 56% for Jordan McIntosh over Bobby Snyder. Bobby Snyder is well over 50 every game unless he's up against his brother Jeff. So a pretty good night for Jordan McIntosh, who now has extra weight on his shoulders, knowing that he doesn't really have a backup draw man in Andrew Studer right now.
Yeah, and that's not just the guy that's taking the draws, though. It's the other four guys that are lined up out there on their loose ball teams that can really step up and make a big difference. I remember playing at Syracuse. We had a guy that by the name of Chris Searcy did a great job on the draws, but our wing guy, Sam Bassett, was a maniac that would come flying in there. And, we voted him my senior year as the MVP of the team. Because of the value of what he brought to the table and picking up those loose balls. So it's a team effort, and McIntosh, nice to hear that he did well at the X, but it's the four guys that are out there with him that really make it happen.
Ty Carlson in the loss tonight, he falls to 1-5 on the year, but don't fault the goaltenders. He faced 52 shots on net tonight and stood pretty tall for the most part, but falls to 1-5. Do they look at, this is a team that shares their goaltending almost every week, Ryan. Do they look at Evan Kirk next week, or did Carlson do enough tonight to get maybe 2 starts in a row here?
Yeah, I think that he played really good, in my opinion. I thought he stopped a lot of good quality shots from the stealth, and I think it's more about getting a few more stops, not allowing those high-quality shots that they got. But more importantly, when you're looking at the stealth putting up 11 goals, that's where you should be, somewhere, 10, 11, 12, 13 range. So I think Carlson did his part, but the Swarm has to be able to score more and produce more on the offensive end.
For the third time this season, Tyler Richards has allowed 8 or less goals. He did 7 in Rochester a couple weeks ago. He let in 6 here against Colorado. How did Tyler Richards look, in your opinion, tonight?
Oh, I thought he was really good. He was very solid, and I've always thought that Tyler's a very good goaltender, and he's always played solid when I've competed up against him. He takes up a lot of the cage and got good quick reaction time. So all in all, I thought both goaltenders on both ends of the floor were very solid all night.
Matt Royk, of course, now backing up Tyler Richards, so he brings a little bit of new look to that locker room, a new old look rather, sort of putting another piece together of that nucleus of the team that went to the Champions Cup final 2 years in a row. So we look forward to Matt Royk didn't touch the floor tonight, but did take the warm-ups and stuff and got some looks from his old teammates. We look forward to seeing Royker play at some point this season.
We have some really good quality coaches in this league, and the guys know what they're doing, and Coach Hall is certainly one of those guys that I'm talking about. But just making a change of 1 or 2 guys here or there can do amazing things for your club. I talk about Suter's injury. It can also work in the other way, but just one little shake-up like that can make a big difference.
Washington heads to Philadelphia next weekend. Philly, who's playing some really good lacrosse right now and surprising a lot of people. Team America over there plays a very similar game to Minnesota. They get the ball up the floor in a hurry. They're a fast transition team led by Brody Merrill and Jordan Hall. What do the Stealth need to do to get a win in Philly?
Well, I think it's going to be a big-time challenge for them. Obviously, taking a pretty long trip over there. It's always tough to play on the road. Philadelphia is a nice place to play. They have a very supportive fan base, and like you said, they're playing good lacrosse right now at an up-tempo pace. One of the best in the business when it comes to getting up and down the floor and playing defense is Brody Merrill. So I'm sure his game will be right on point, and he'll be ready to go and protect his own barn there. But I think that Washington, Richards plays solid again, and their offense, played the way that they did tonight. Maybe get off a couple more quality looks. They got a good opportunity to stay right in there with Philadelphia and make it a great game.
Minnesota travels to Calgary next week before meeting the Stealth again at home in Minnesota on March 16th. So again, parity in the National Lacrosse League. The Washington Stealth now have a little cushion on top of the West, but that could all change in Week 10. Week 9, we're going to wrap this thing up, but action resumes next Friday night right here on the Lacrosse Network. Join us for the live broadcast as the Swarm face the Calgary Roughnecks, 9 Eastern, exclusively on the Lacrosse Network. Also on Friday, Toronto Rock hosts the Colorado Mammoth at 7:30 Eastern. You can watch that live on TSN2 in Canada and ESPN3 in the United States of America. Ryan Powell, what's next for you?
Well, I'm hopping on a plane here. I'm going to be heading back to Syracuse, see my family, and I'll be calling some games on CBS Sports, getting excited for that. I got Philadelphia at Rochester coming up in April, and then Buffalo hosting Rochester, so I get to call a couple games with my brother Casey in the lineup.
Nice.
That's going to be pretty special and pretty cool. There's not a whole lot of people that I can think of that have been able to say that in their life, being very passionate about the sport of lacrosse and something that I do on a day-to-day basis and love. So really looking forward to that, and it was an exciting game tonight. It was good working with you and good calling the game.
Yeah, pleasure having you, man. Come back anytime. We look forward to those games on CBS, and we look forward to hearing your call. And exciting finish to this season. So thanks for joining us here tonight, lacrosse fans. My name is Brad Challoner. Thanks to Mr. Ryan Powell for stepping in for Kevin Alexander tonight. We won't be back here until March 30th. The Stealth have a long way from home. Before we wrap this up, that's a long time to be away from your home barn. It's only 2 games on the road plus the bye week, but what do these guys need to do to stay in shape with a large travel road trip and then with a week off?
Yeah, I don't think that it's going to be a problem in terms of staying in shape. These guys are professional players. They will be ready to go. But it does mess around a little bit kind of with your preparation and having that kind of time off and away from your own home floor. So I think it could go one of 2 different ways. Obviously you're hoping that you come back in here and you're hungry to play in front of your fans again, and you want to make them proud when you're out there on the road. So get a couple wins and then come back here and have the crowd get all excited because you're well out in first place and doing a great job in your division and well on your way to the playoffs.
The Week 9 is in the books. The Washington Stealth are the second team this season to hit 6 wins. They joined the Toronto Rock at the top of their respective divisions. It's going to be a photo finish the rest of this lacrosse season. So thanks for tuning in tonight, lacrosse fans. My name is Brad Challoner. Thank you, Ryan Powell, for your knowledge and your insight for tonight's game. And we'll talk to you on the CBS Sports Network coming up pretty quick. And lacrosse fans, you will see you here next week, Friday. Lacrosse Network NLL resumes right here, every game on YouTube. And if you just caught the end of this one, rewind yourself, catch it again, or catch the archive on YouTube. My name is Brad Challoner. Please find me on Twitter at LaxCaster. Questions, comments, concerns about tonight's game. But that'll do it here from Comcast Arena, folks. This copyright telecast of the National Lacrosse League Incorporated may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the National Lacrosse League. Good night from Everett. We'll talk to you next Friday.